Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Oh, look out. I'm going in hot today. You know what that means? People have been asking me about this since Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, so here you go. You get it. You asked. You wanted the best. You got the best. We're talking about socialism. Talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg today. We're going to talk about cults and the Handmaiden's Tale. Oh boy. How does all that line up? You're going to find out in about 1 minute. Not too much. Is that over the top? Should I have more? Maybe I should add some more cheers like that. Oh, that's usually for Ned. My bad. Ned's not with me today. He is downstairs. He's getting ready for another vet visit. He one of the things that really sucks. A lot of things suck about COVID. Let's be honest. I'm not doing this show with a face mask on. Oh my God. But the thing that sucks, I think the most really, it sucks not being able to see my mom like face to face. Okay. My mom's in a assisted living facility and has been there for, now about a year and 6 months, about a year and a half, a little more than a year and a half now. And 8 months of that year and a half, I have not seen her because she has been in the assisted living facility and they have to lock it down. And I understand. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it kind of sucks, right? Well, the next thing that sucked worse, well, not worse than that, but like the next in level of suck is getting a vet to see your dog. It is like next to impossible, at least in my area in Northern Nevada, in the Reno, Sparks, Carson City area. It is next to impossible to find a vet. So you have to if you have some, God forbid you have like an emergency because you have to go, you're going to be paying through the nose if something happens to your dog or cat or whatever you have. But man, whew. One thing I'm going to do, you guys have to bear with me today. I'm going to do a couple things. I need to go back to the audio here and disable audio processing because everybody keeps complaining that all my P's pop and I'm like, all that. So I think that's the audio processing. Hopefully that will take care of it. If not, I do have this. I have this little thing, but I don't know that this is, I hate this because then I'm like, hey, hi guys. So I don't use this very often. Today, we're going to talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I know, wow, geez, who the hell is that, right? You would have to know U.S. civics really to know why she's important, I guess. Although she is kind of an international figure. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. People were asking me about that. They wanted me to talk about that, and I thought, I could wedge that into a topic that I had already planned on doing, and so I decided that I'm gonna do it now, and because it's still kind of fresh in everybody's minds. But I made mention back around, I think it was June, that there was going to be some sort of trigger event. I think that's going to get women in the streets, and this might be it. If this ain't it, I don't know what else it could be, because this is something significant enough that I think women are like losing their minds over it. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, by the way, for those of you who don't know, or those of you living outside the United States or don't know anything about the government of the United States, we have three branches of government. We have the legislative, we have the executive, and we have the judicial. And the judicial branch is pretty much owned by 9 people, or usually 9 people, and they are the 9 Supreme Court justices. There you go. Here's your civics lesson that you didn't get in high school, children. Hello, children. I'm gonna play Sheffy today. Children, there's this thing called the Supreme Court of the United States. And there are 9 Supreme Court justices that are on there. They are the highest court in the land, and they are tasked with a very important job, which is interpreting the Constitution At least that's what you learn in basic, high school U.S. history classes. That's pretty much the what they do. They do a lot more than that. Let's just say they pretty much decide what's going to happen and what's not going to happen, and how our Constitution is going to be read, and the laws, the rules we're all going to play by. Here we go. Now that's going to be an important aspect to remember in this show, because we're going to talk just a little. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on the internet. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not a sociologist. I am a guy who has an interest in a lot of different things. And so I try to pile them together. I'm kind of like the Dan Carlin of the red pill. So, master, was it jack of all trades, master of some. So, anyways, the Supreme Court is now down a judge, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who died at the tender age of 87 just a few days ago, 5 days ago? When was it? Friday, I think, something like that, over the weekend. So we've had last weekend and a few days to sort of let women freak out over it, and freak out they have. I have to apologize right here at the outset of this show, because I'm going to be a little bit let's say media heavy in today's show. There's a lot of videos, and I'm glad I waited now. People that asked me on Sunday's show, they said, "Oh, you didn't talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg." I'm like, well, let's see where things shake out first before we dive into that. But man, you know what? I don't care if it's not a super. Yes, the freakouts are legendary. So legendary that they will become memes that you will remember for a very long time. Now, of course, we all remember the meme of the, I don't know if it was to this day. I mean, it happened in 2017 when Donald Trump got confirmed as the president of the United States. There was that one video of them confirming him, and there was like some video that I guess it was cell phone video of I think it was a chick. I don't know if it was a girl, but it kind of looked female, so I'm just gonna say it's female, and she's there, and she's just like, no, like that. That pretty much sums up, I would say, certainly the last 4 years, but I would say that sums up the decade that was 2010 through 2020. If you can name a more iconic meme of the last 10 years than that, I want to know what it is, because that was something else. So, and we're still getting a lot of mileage out of that one even today. And there's, of course, there's a lot of comparisons being made right now, because as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I'm going to totally flip that at some point. Ruth Gator Ginsburg. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is going to really trigger the feminist left, and in some ways, maybe even the feminist right. So we'll point that out along the way today. I've been asked about this on several occasions, because I have alluded to this, or I have done like sort of asides about this topic in some of my other shows, usually the ones that kind of cross over into politics or into social issues and things like that. I'm going to give you my standard caveats here before I get started. If I was writing a blog post for the Rational Male, I would say the same thing. So my caveats are thus. I don't do politics on this show. I don't do politics on my blog. I don't do religion on my blog. I don't do ethno-nationalism. I don't do race. I don't do any of those things, specifically those things. If there's something that crosses over into intersectional dynamics, and it happens to be politics, or it happens to be sociology or social things that are going on, if there happens to be, like, the red pill is a very diverse, let's say, praxology, right? It crosses into a lot of other subfields, sociology, psychology, religion. Some would say philosophy. I would disagree with that, but I can see how people would want to interpret things that way as well. I have gone into politics as well. I've written I think was a pretty good seminal post called "The First Female President" in 2017, right after the dust had settled from the 2016 election cycle. And I made a lot of, I'll say predictions, but I made a lot of observations, I think, last year in 2019, certainly on the Rule Zero end of the year special that we did. We had Hotep Jesus on for that. And by the way, I went back and looked at that episode again to see where we were. I mean, we are just a couple weeks away from October. And we have, what was it? Zuby said this morning that there's 100 days left in this year. Like, what are you going to do with it? But we're also we're very close to something a sea change here. Even I'm fully expecting Trump to win, but I don't know. I fully expected Hillary Clinton to win in 2016. I admit I was on board with the rest of them. And so after that, I made I think I did a video on this as well, but I also did a bit of a talk at a certain convention that I used to participate in. And I mentioned that post, the first female president. And in that, I also mentioned the fact that Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were the sort of gestalt embodiments, let's say, of feminism versus the evil masculine patriarchy, the most extreme summations, embodiments of what is militant feminism, gynocracy, gynocentrism, the feminine imperative, feminism, you name it. You couldn't find a person who would be more emblematic than Hillary Clinton. And there's only one person on planet Earth that could possibly have opposed her, much less beat her in the election. And that's the guy who is the summation of everything that the Gestalt feminine hates. He is the antithesis of all of that. He's white, he's male, he's full of himself, he wins. Some people would say he's an alpha. I would argue, yeah, not nominally, I can see why people would say that. There's a lot there, but let's just, I'm not going to get into any arguments about, is he alpha, is he beta? No, what I'm saying is that as the sort of the effigy of, toxic masculinity to Hillary's toxic femininity or whatever, toxic feminism, it's the irresistible force meets the immovable object, right? I mean, they are like the polar opposites of each other. And everyone, including Ruth Bader Ginsburg, believed that Hillary Clinton was going to be the victor in 2016. And after I watched everything sort of play out, I took, kind of held off a little bit. I was not, I had not shown my face at that point. I was still sort of, I'd done the Man Demand conference, but I had not done, I'd not been on video. I didn't have a YouTube channel in 2016. I was still kind of semi-anonymous. At that point, I had 2 books, and then 2017 rolled around, and then I put out the 3rd book in July. But in the beginning of the year, I didn't have anything, so I was just kind of waiting, and I took a wait and see kind of thing, because I've learned over the years that when big things go down, it's best to sort of wait and sort of analyze things before you make sure you have all the facts, and because I've done it. I've jumped to conclusions before, like the things that I thought were, were legit ended up not being legit. So, you live and you learn, right? So I did the first female president post, and as usual, it turned into a pretty seminal post. People really liked it. And I have to be very careful with politics. I have to be very careful with religion. I have to be very careful with race. Because if it crosses over into intersectional dynamics, I'm pretty good that way. But a lot of people have a lot of very strong ego investments in all of those things, because usually those topics are integral to people's belief sets or their ego investments. So if I am critical of Christianity, or if I'm critical of Republicans, or if I'm critical of whatever, it doesn't really make any difference. If I am in any way even analytical about those things, people say, you usually get the no true Scotsman thing, like, well, those guys aren't real Christians, they're not real whatevers, and it doesn't matter whether they're ideological or religious or political, whatever it is. So I again, standard caveat here, I don't do these things very often, but getting back to the point here, in that post, I mentioned the fact that so many people and so many big corporations believed that Hillary Clinton was going to be the first female president. That's why I named it that. The first female president, that they bet their livelihoods and their businesses and their future marketing plans on the fact that in 2016 or by 2016 or by 2017, will have installed or have elected or confirmed Hillary Clinton as the first female president. Now, I was given a little gift right before I came on today. And the little gift was this, is that Ruth Bader Ginsburg just passed away, 87, vaya con Dios. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg was very much a feminist icon and is still very much, and will probably be sainted as a feminist icon. She was very much a pro-choice advocate back in the 70s. She was nominated in 1993 by Bill Clinton. And for a while, she was the only female that was on the court for a while, between Sandra Day O'Connor and then I think Sotomayor got in. But so anyway, these are just the little factoids, I guess, about her. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg, to a lot of, particularly this generation, for whatever reason, but I would say for at least the last 3 generations of feminists, of militant feminists, she has been sort of like this guiding light. Like she's Saint Ruth, right? Or Ruth, Saint Ginsburg. And literally they had votive candles with her face on the votive candles, because she's like the patron saint of abortion. And abortion is very important. We're going to talk about that today too. But the main topics today, I'm going to talk about abortion and why it's important, why it's so important to women. But I also want to talk about the little gift that I was given today, because when I was writing the first female president, I mentioned that companies and ideologues, even churches, you name it, all throughout the country, all believed that Hillary Clinton was going to be the first female president, and they were ecstatic. That was the byline, right? It's her turn. It's I'm with her, like the little arrow point. I'm with her. If you're like a male ally, and you're not a man, by the way, if you are a male feminist, or if you are in any way affiliated with that side, like militant, what really is now militant feminism, but if you are in any way affiliated with that side of the field, you are not a man. In fact, using the letters MAN in succession is a big no-no. You're an ally. You're a tool. You're a useful tool. So when I say allies, that's what I mean. I mean those guys who are not necessarily, they're not men. They are male. They're biologically male, but they align with that kind of mentality. You are an ally, and that's what they call you. So I will call you that too. So if feminist allies, Saint Ruth was a big deal, and she was a big deal in a lot of different ways. The first one here, I'm going to tell you, let's just get down to the little gift I was given today. And I'll read these here. I don't have to actually show these to you, but Daily Wire had this up. It says, Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't retire because she wanted Hillary Clinton to name her successor, her daughter says. So apparently there was some sort of deathbed confessions, or there was some sort of talk between her and her daughter. And of course, one of them was she wanted to live long enough to see, and these are her words, she wanted to live long enough to see a new president installed after Trump, like as in this particular election. Now, that's an interesting choice of words, installed. Installing is what the United States does, or other countries do in that case, when they want an uncooperative leader out of a particular country and a new compliant leader installed in that country. Now people say, "Oh, you're just being semantic. You're just splitting hairs." Well, that's just something to think about. Okay, installed, not elected, not confirmed, not confirm, whatever it is. Not sworn in, installed. That's what a junta does, right? That's what a banana republic, that's what I would expect, that in banana republics to have one leader be assassinated and another leader installed, but maybe that's just neurolinguistic programming on my part. I don't know. However, that was one nice little tidbit. This was just at the 0 hour, man. This came in September 23rd, 2020. Thank you, Tim Pierce. He says the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg held off on retirement in part because she thought former Secretary of State and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton would win the 2016 presidential election. Ginsburg's daughter says. Ginsburg died on Friday from pancreatic cancer at the age of 87. Many have questioned why she didn't step down under former President Barack Obama when she was something like 82, somewhere around there, right? Especially prior to 2015 when Obama was working with a Democrat-controlled Senate. Ginsburg's dying wish was reportedly that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed. And that's what her daughter, Jane, had said. And then, of course, she also said, let's see what I got to get off my screen. Ginsburg continued to sit on the court through 2016, in part because she did not believe President Trump would win the election. Jane told New York Times, I think that mother, this is her quote, I think that mother, like many others, expected that Hillary Clinton would win the nomination and the presidency, and she wanted the first female president to name her successor. Let that sink in for a minute. She wanted the first female president to name her successor. She said in an email, Jane also said her mother never voiced regret over her decision to stay on the court after Trump had won. So that was that. I can go. It goes on. I'm not going to finish out that whole thing right there. But anyways, there you have it. So not only did she, if I could go back and re-edit the first female president post that I put out, I would put this in, because this is from my perspective, anyways, from that writing that essay perspective, this is a big deal, because what this means is that a Supreme Court justice bet her career on the fact that on the idea, on the total, completely sold on idea that Hillary Clinton was going to win. Companies did the same thing. If you look at the Super Bowl ads of the 2017 Super Bowl, they were all hastily redone or canceled entirely, because the companies that were going to who are going to advertise during the Super Bowl, which is a big advertising thing here in the United States for sure, but $2 million, $3 million ads suddenly either get canceled or they get hastily reshot, because all of the material and all the content that they had done prior was based on the presumption that Hillary Clinton would be in office by then. She would be the first female president. And now we have confirmation, deathbed confessions, that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was betting a judicial seat that is a lifetime seat. So when we have nominees that are appointed to the Supreme Court, 9 of them, they are there for life, or until they either retire or they die. And so it's a lifetime spot that she said, you know what? My ideological wishes are to be have my successor named by the first female president. That right there is gender politics, my friends. Whenever I say this is what or if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see the little hashtag I put. It said, this is what a gender war looks like. That is what a gender war looks like. That is the top level. So when I start talking, when people say, oh, Rollo, all he ever talks about is just hypergamy and spinning plates and I don't see it. She's just obsessed with sex. No, this is part of intersexual dynamics. This is part of understanding women's nature. This is part of understanding how men and women vie for power. This is part of how we relate. So right now, highest court in the land has basically been politicized by an 87-year-old militant feminist. So what does that tell you? I'll let you guys run with it. That was my first point for the day, which is that's one of the reasons why Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a big deal. She's a big deal because she's a feminist icon. She's practically a cartoon character. like I said, she's going to be, she'll probably be canonized, or she'll probably get sainted at some point. Maybe not by the Catholic Church, but certainly by our new, cult of the goddess very soon, if not already. Now, there's been a lot of videos that popped up right after, and I could play a dozen of these. I'm going to play just like one or two of them for you, because what happens is whenever we have an opening on the bench, whenever there is, when they were putting Sotomayor in there, and now I got to also say this, is that you want to know why I don't think Trump is what everybody thinks he is? It's because the first thing out of his mouth is he's going to appoint a woman to the judiciary, just flat out. Very similar to how Joe Biden said his running mate was going to be female, and of course he came through on that. Now we have the Harris-Biden administrations already for transfer of power once Sleepy Joe decides to opt out of the presidency, however he decides to do that. At this point, I don't think that side of the aisle really cares what happens. Honestly, I think this is we're headed for scorched earth territory right now. And again, gender politics. We have Kamala Harris will be the first female, assuming Biden wins. Kamala Harris will be the first female president, because there's no way in God's green earth that Joe Biden is going to be is going to serve out 4 more years in that capacity. That will not happen. That I will put $100 on that. He's not going to get in anyways, but if he did, he was most definite. I would say he probably wouldn't serve more than 7 months as in that capacity. He's too far gone, and we see it exemplified all the time. Is Sam in today? I don't know if Sam's in today. Gabriel, what did you say? Pretty ironic now that Trump is going to indicate her successor. Is there such a thing as red pill leftist progressive, or the two can live together? I used to think so. I've been sort of, I hate to say it, but like, I don't hate to say it. I voted for Obama. I voted for Obama twice. I tend to as far as politics are concerned, I tend to vote for who I think is the most sane at that particular time. And I did not think Palin and McCain were a good idea. I certainly didn't, I couldn't conscience what Romney after that. Again, I've said this before. I'll say it one more time. I didn't vote. I'm not a Trump supporter. People keep thinking, oh, well, you're getting behind. It's funny that all you have to do is say one good thing about Trump, and then you're a Trump supporter. It's like, no, I have I'm very critical of Trump quite a bit, but as far as him versus the other choice, I think that he was the best choice. So, I try to stay as rational and reasonable about things. I will say this. I wish we had, and again, I don't want to get too political today, but I wish we had better candidates. I wish we had Nancy Pelosi, female. She's been in that position as was a senator. She's a senator. Is she a congresswoman? Oh, she's the leader of the House, right? So she's Congress. She's been in that position forever. Nancy Pelosi is 80 years old. My mom is 81, and she's in the assisted. I just told you she's in the assisted living facility, right? I look at my mom and I look at Nancy Pelosi. I'm like, your mom could run the country, right? That's apparently that we're all good with that. We have right now. I wrote about this in the beginning of the early parts of book 4, which is due very soon. Just get that out of the way. In the beginning of it, I talk about like old order versus the new order. And if you look at Hillary Clinton, you look at Donald Trump, you certainly look at Nancy Pelosi, certainly Ruth Bader Ginsburg. You look at Biden, all the guys that we're upholding as sort of political war horses right now. They're 20th century candidates. There's 20th century candidates, and we are 20 years into the 21st century right now. Can we please find somebody? I'm not saying let's go get Ocasio-Cortez and throw her ass in there, right? I'm not saying let's get somebody who's in their 20s, but can we have somebody who's like, I don't know, mid 40s, mid 50s, somebody who's not going to just like keel over in office? Can we get somebody? Like, is there no one? I want to also say this because this is sort of pertinent to today's topic as well. I got my my Nevada like ballot thing. Like I'm part of the NRA. Thank you very much. So now again, I'm not a gun guy. I just happen to have a membership in the NRA, card carrying NRA member. But they give you this little pamphlet thing or this little thing that comes in their magazines, and it's like all the candidates that are in your particular state and who the NRA is endorsing. Right? Well, that's not necessarily going to make or break my idea who I'm going to vote for. But I was curious, so I looked at the candidates for the state of Nevada, not only for I think we have a Senate. I don't think we have a Senate race, but we do have a representative race, and we also have our district races for the state government. And I looked and I go, how many guys are running and how many women are running? And I counted it down, and there are 47 spots. There's including the overall what is it, the state the congressional ones, the congressional races, plus the ones for state representatives of particular districts, right? So I counted them up and I go, okay, in many cases there were women that were just simply running unopposed in those districts, just because they were the girl. And in other ones, it was, Republican and Democrat, and there was two women that were running against each other. And I thought about this and I go, what if only women won in the state of Nevada? How many seats in the state Senate would there be that would be occupied by women? And if only women won in the state of Nevada, out of 47 spots, 39 of them would be women. Because there's not that many guys that are running. There's just simply not that many men that are running. And in some cases, I think that a lot of women would simply vote for the woman instead of the guy. Or maybe the guy is a Democrat and the woman is a Republican, and people go, well, you got to vote for it's all R's, right? Or it's all D's, whatever your political affiliation is. So in almost all cases, though, there's a few exceptions, but in all cases, Republicans and Democrats, women are the Democrats. There's a few Republican women, a few, but those women are running against other women. Very few. There's very few races where a Republican woman is running against a Democrat man. And so I thought about that and I go, wow, it's just, it's participation. It's not even so much like ideology or whatever. It's participation at this time. There's more women running for those positions than there are men that are running for those positions. I don't know how that sort of shakes out in other states, but if Nevada, which is a pretty sparsely populated state, is any indication, think about the population of California. California is the fifth largest economy in the world. So what's that representation like? It's easy to figure out like things like Oregon or the blue states, but like even in red states, even if it's Republican women, it's more women that are involved in politics right now. So whenever I see people saying, and I'm going to get to it here in just a minute, whenever I see people saying, well, we need to get more women in power, we need to get more women in the state, we need to get more women on the Senate and more women on the judiciary, and more, it's like, where are you getting that? Since when is that even a trend? Because of the way I see it right now, there are far less men that are even running, that even want to participate. They're just opting out. You talk about the Lost Boys generation, about the Lost Men generation who don't want to get involved. Either they don't want to have anything to do with it, or they're too busy doing something else, too busy making money or running a business or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe it's because women have more time. I don't know. I don't know what the demographic shift is. But when somebody says, we need to get more women in positions of decision making, and since when has that been a problem? Maybe the 70s. We've had women in power for a very long time, and that is sort of the preface to what I want to get into today, which is going to be about women and socialism, and why socialism is women tend to have a particular affinity for socialism. What did you say, Med? It said, which one to improve more attraction or arousal? Start with arousal. There you go. There's your blessing. Go with God. Let's see what else you guys got here. So with that in mind, I wanted to talk about her for a little bit, but I also wanted to get into who, so let's just say this. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's out. The first thing that women freak out about when there's, and it doesn't have to be even Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I remember when it wasn't Alito, it was the other guy who died suddenly. And they were going to replace him. Every time there's an opening on the judiciary, at least in my lifetime, women freak out. And they freak out. Like, remember when Brett Kavanaugh is easy to remember. Like whoever Trump nominates as the Supreme Court justice, and he's saying it will be a woman, and it's going to be a woman by the name of Amy Coney Barrett. Why is it that they have to call them by like their full name, like 3 names, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg? How about just Amy Coney or Amy Barrett or Ruth Ginsburg? What are you, serial killers? Serial killers and Supreme Court judges, we use their full name. What are your first, middle, and last name? But Ruth Bader Ginsburg, if you are on the opposite side, she is the abortion justice. She's the abortion judge. She's the one who very much was involved in a lot of women's rights stuff. She's for whatever, civil. Let me see, civil rights, equal rights, this kind of stuff, especially in the 70s. I'm not going to say she didn't have a history. She lived a pretty interesting life. Don't get me wrong. Oh, hey, thank you. I see you. Thanks, Sam. Sam Bada is in the house now, so he is moderating for me in the chat. Thank you, Sam. Say hi to Sam. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg is like sort of the patron saint of Roe v. Wade. And so that's why women are really freaking out on this one. But every time there's an opening on the bench, women freak out because the first thing that comes to their mind is, oh my God, they're going to overturn Roe v. Wade. Oh my God, we're going to lose our fundamental right, our human right to abort children. We're going to lose that. We're going to lose our right to, or it's going to be dialed back. We won't be able to have post-birth abortions, right? We won't be able to kill babies, right? I want to also point out here that when I talk about abortion, I'm neither pro-choice and I'm neither pro-abortion, right? Okay, or pro-life. Okay, I'm observing things here. You can ask me about it later, but for the duration of this show, consider me sort of I'm Sweden, right? I'm neutral ground here. I'm going to talk a little bit about abortion today because it's pertinent to women in power. Now, why is it that women freak out as soon as there is a justice to be replaced, and in particular Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Well, because the first thing that crosses women's minds in the United States, remember, this is the West. This is where things get started. So we export this. I can remember in certain Catholic countries, definitely in Ireland. I remember in Ireland not too long ago, I think it was 2017 or 2018, they legalized abortion finally in Ireland. And it was a big party. Everybody, like women were just celebrating and their allies were there just lifting them up on their shoulders. And it was a big deal that now we have the right to kill babies. Now we have the right to abort a child. It's just a clump of cells. We're going to get rid of it. That's their words, not mine. I just report the news. I just work here, man. I just work here. So it's cause for celebration. In fact, I can show you, I probably don't have them queued up. I should have. I can show you placards and signs where it's hose before embryos. Their words, not mine. I just work here. And it has gone from, I can remember when, and I've lived long enough to know when, I think it was Bill Clinton who said, abortion needs to be safe, legal, and rare. Those were the 3 things that sort of made abortion. Because there had to be some sort of concession for that. Well, now we've gone from safe, legal, and rare to celebrated, empowering, and a point of pride for women. That's what abortion is, because whenever abortion has come to a point, it's been politicized so much that abortion has become a point of pride for women. It's also a point of hubris. And whenever a government, whenever a country, whenever a state is in some way regulated by abortion, if there's some way to get rid of that, it's cause for celebration. It is like unlimited, like what abortion on demand, unlimited abortion, whenever, wherever, whatever. Doesn't even matter what age you are, no parental consent, no, you make the choice, her body, her choice, right? That's again, their words, not mine. I just work here. So why is that such a big deal? When I talk about abortion, people always say, well, what are you, pro-choice? I was like, I'm reporting here for you, but I ask questions that women themselves don't like to be asked of. So why is it that women will fight tooth and nail to keep abortion safe and legal? What's the point? Right? Well, you can make a moral issue out of it, and I understand a lot of people do, particularly the religious right. Have in the past. Now, in certainly the last 20 years or so, even the religious right are piling on. Even Tommy Lahren, right? Good blonde, Uber mentioned, Hitler Youth, right? Blonde hair, blue eyed, hi, gorgeous girl who's going to be heir apparent to Ann Coulter. Right. She's on Fox. She's telling us how much she hates men and freaking out. And I did a whole breakdown of that. I was asked to go talk about it on Dr. Phil, but this is the same really conservative girl who is pro-choice and lost a lot of face because of that. But her loyalties lie with the sisterhood. So had I gone on Dr. Phil, I think I probably would have led off with this. I would have said, you're a feminist. And it doesn't matter whether the woman is liberal or leftist or progressive or conservative or, ostensibly conservative or religious or whatever. Their loyalties, women's loyalties, are to the Sisterhood Über Alles. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. I've used that in several tweets, and I think I've used it in a few posts as well. I'll just explain it now. When I say the Sisterhood Über Alles, okay, that means the sisterhood above all else. So that's a German word, right? It's what the Nazis actually used back in the day, prior to the war. I think it was like, it's like homeland above all else, Über Alles. And yes, there's a Dead Kennedy song called California Über Alles. But okay, that's beside the point. What I was talking about when I brought that up and I started trying to popularize that as sort of a meme, Sisterhood Über Alles means above all else. And it means that no matter the race, no matter the religion, no matter the cultural conditions, no socioeconomics, ideology, whatever, the sisterhood comes first. And abortion is the prime directive, or is a high order priority, let's just say, for the sisterhood. Because abortion allows, the latent purpose of abortion is that it allows women a fail-safe for bad reproductive choices. Or women will say, they're going to hear this and they're going to go, oh my God, what if you're raped? Well, rape accounts for a minuscule, less than like a fraction of 1% of all the abortions that are performed, at least in the United States. I don't know how it is outside of other countries. It might be more. I don't know. But in the states that actually keep statistics like that, because in a lot of states, they're not allowed to, because there's legislation that says you're not allowed to even ask a woman why she is getting an abortion. So is it rape or whatever? And of course, in mostly the southern, like conservative, like Bible Belt states, you have to at least give a reason why you're having the abortion. You can have the abortion, but you have to give them a reason. In other states, they legislate against. They don't want, they don't want that being tracked, because it's supposed to be uncontested, unilateral, just like hormonal birth control, unilateral. Back at the time of the sexual revolution, we gave that up, gentlemen of the boomer generation. They thought it'd be great. Oh, great. Awesome. So we don't have to have a burden of performance. It's just what's on the inside that counts. We don't have to really do anything. We can have sex without really worrying about pregnancy. That's awesome. Okay, ladies, let's give you some power. Here, get in the workforce. Here, ladies, abortion. Okay, we can do that too. Child support. Yeah. No fault divorce. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's all right. And inch by inch by inch by inch. And here we are in 2020. But why is that important? What is the latent purpose of abortion? I've said this is another meme, I guess, or another quote that I've used, is that abortion is the ultimate expression of hypergamy. Yeah, there's that word again. Oh, hypergamy. He said it. Rollo said hypergamy. Quick, alert all his haters. All right. That's the end of my buttery goodness bulletproof coffee that this show is not sponsored by. So yes, abortion is the ultimate expression of hypergamy. It is the fail-safe. It is the summation of women's existential fear. Now I have to backtrack a little bit. We're gonna have to rewind some things here before we get to why women are into socialism and why we're in the positions that we're in right now. You've probably heard me say this before, is that women are innately communitarian. They're innately collectivist. Marxism, socialism, egalitarianism appeals to women's hindbrain. And that is, I would think, if not in whole, certainly in part, an effect of women's evolved mental firmware. So let's rewind the clock all the way back to sub-Saharan Africa in the Paleolithic area. Okay, so when we're living in tribes and human beings are innately tribalistic and we live in hunter-gatherer groupings, for women are the vulnerable sex. They need to have community. There's strength in numbers, right? They need to nurture. They are incubators of the next generation. And certainly back then, it was never more true back then than ever. So when let's round it off, a tribe of 100 people, 50 men, 50 women, whatever, various ages. But the women tend to form social networks. When we talk about, you want to know why women are really enraptured by things like OnlyFans, Instagram, Snapchat, social media in general, text, text messages, that kind of stuff, is because women have, again, it's the communication thing. I've talked about women's form of communication and men's form of communication. Women's form of communication is covert, but women are more sensitive and they are better at communication than men are in the context that they get subcommunications, they get innuendos, they get vocal intonations, they get a lot more out of communication than guys do. They enjoy communication more than guys do. The act of communicating, let's just say. For men, it's all for women, it's all about the context. Like how did the communication make them feel? For men, it's all about the information. Because we have to solve problems. So you're out there trying to, how are we going to, okay, guys, let's get together. Or how are we going to take down the caribou, right? Okay, well, Joe, I saw him do this. Maybe if we got down and went to the watering hole and sharpened these sticks and spears and we could figure something out. Like, it's this information transfer. And so when Dr. Steven Pinker talks about how his TED Talks for gender differences, sexual differences, one of the prime differences is that men are more interested in things and women are more interested in people. And we can see this reflected in the choices that they make for careers, what we would consider a conventionally feminine role, or like female jobs, for like men's work versus women's work. Why do we think that? Well, because women have different proclivities, let's say, for certain things. And one of those is communication. They're very good at it. We can see this study after study. I can show you the fMRI studies, how women's brains are wired, why they like to communicate. Women, when they communicate like this, like so. When men communicate, they communicate like this. Hey, what do you think of we're on the side, we're looking out at what's going on. Whereas for women, it's usually like women will get together to communicate just for the sake of communicating. Why? Well, because women needed those networks for support and security because they are the most vulnerable sex. Men, particularly back in the, I'll say Pleistocene, not certainly the Paleolithic. Let's just start the Paleolithic era. I don't know how far back it goes, but back in our ancestral past, let's say when we were living in hunter-gatherer groups, women being the more vulnerable sex had to rely on each other. That, of course, evolved a little bit more when we organized tribes into, peoples, let's say. So when one tribe goes and attacks the other tribe, takes all their resources, takes all their good stuff, and kills off all the men and all the boys, and takes all the women as war brides, what are they doing at that point? Well, they're taking those foreign women from another tribe, and they're integrating them into their tribe because they want to breed with them, obviously, right? I mean, they're spoils of war. That's a resource. Women are the incubators. So it makes pragmatic sense. And that sounds cruel. Well, that, again, just work here. So when tribal warriors go in and they wipe out another tribe and they grab all the women and they bring them back to their tribe, now those women have to find some kind of solidarity, some kind of way to integrate them in. I'm not saying it was always perfect, but if you want to know why egalitarianism, why solidarity, why the sisterhood exists, it's because of that dynamic. Because we had to take foreign women and put them from a foreign tribe and put them into our home tribes back in the day. And as a result, women had to say, well, you're part of the sisterhood, sister. So, I guess we're all going to have to suffer through this. Oh, you have a baby? Oh, okay. Well, we're all here for you. This is the village, right? It takes a village to raise a child. And maybe you were one wife of many of one powerful man, right? Whether he's a warrior or a chieftain or whatever, back in the day. And I know I keep saying that, but he says back in the day all the time. Well, back in our ancestral past, if you would rather that, I'll tell you that. Back in our ancestral past, powerful men had more than one woman. We're very much polygamous. Yeah, many women, polygynous. So one man, many women. And in some cultures, we still do that today, right? I mean, Muslim men can have up to 4 wives. I don't know what the rules are for Mormons, but in the past, they've been able to have more than one wife. Even in the Old Testament, Jews could have more than one wife. Powerful men had more than one wife. So those women had to learn to get along together in some way, shape, or form, right? Even if they hated each other, they still had to cooperate because, sister, we're all in this together. That's why women have that communication. That's why they have the way that they talk, the way that they work, the way that they support, if they do. It's also the way that they fight. I'm not saying that's perfect, right? Guys will say, well, what about this, Rollo? Don't women hate each other? Yeah, well, they do compete with each other, but in the sense of like networking, like men cooperate. Let's say that we're social animals, we do. But for men, we are more merit based. We are more you perform a function that's valuable to the collective. You get more merit for it. People look up to you. You're admirable. You're respectable. You do something that's valuable to everybody for the greater good of the tribe or the nation or the people or whatever it is. We're tribal. Sorry, Godsod. Sorry, Jordan Peterson. But that is human beings are innately tribal. That's actually one of the best features, I think, of humanity. It can be one of the worst features as well, as we've seen recently. But tribalism is something that is innate to us, and we're not going to. You're not going to. You can. What is it? You can take the savage out of the jungle, but you can't take the jungle out of the savage. That's us, right? We can't not be tribal. We can learn to work within it as part of our nature, I think. But you're not going to take the tribal. You're not going to take the tribesman out of the person. So, but what does that do when we shift the dynamic, when we change things up, when we afford women power? How do they see exercising that power? Well, the first thing out of women is to promote the sisterhood, to enable the sisterhood, to free the sisterhood. And what are the prime directives of women, right? What's the existential fear of women? I mentioned this. I don't know that I did a whole episode on this, but the existential fear of women is the idea that somebody takes control of hypergamy for them, that makes the sexual choices for them. If you want to know why prearranged marriages are just like abhorrent to women today, it's because it removes hypergamous control. Why is it that is it the child brides and stuff like Boko Haram? People asked me about that last week, I think. I'm not saying it's like not, inhumane. Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying that the reason why women fear that is because it removes hypergamous control. And we are now 4 generations since the sexual revolution of women who have been almost in total control of hypergamy. It's no longer about, is the guy a good provider? Is the guy a good resource? Is he fun? All the things that make you attractive. Like I was just telling Med Salah. Here's the thing. All the things that, was it Med Salah? He said, which one to improve more, attraction or arousal? Today, arousal, because women don't need attraction cues as much as they did before. Why? Well, because it's already satisfied for them. We've already said, here's the keys to the castle. We screwed everything up, girls. You go ahead and take it all, right? You go and do it. Like the Dalai Lama. Oh, I hope we have a 200 nation coalition of female leaders. We want we want feminist governments all over the world. Well, what does that look like? What does that look like? I talked to Aaron Clary about this last Wednesday, and we were talking about the the corporate workplace. So that's just the workplace. Like when we put women into corporate America, women came into what was inherently a male space of corporate America, right? These were the jobs that men had. We used to have an industrial base in the United States. Maybe in other countries things are different. Obviously, things, culturally, nationally, things are going to be different. But in this case, the more we put women into power, the more they change that male space, or that the dynamics of that where we're putting them into. In this case, it's the workspace, to fit what works best for the feminine imperative, what works best for women, what works best for the sisterhood. Well, okay, so what is that? Well, women want 100% total control over hypergamy. They want 100% control over sexual selection. That's what rape is. Rape is like 100% control by men over women. That's why when we talk about rape, me using that word in this video is going to get me flagged, because that's how sensitive it is. So to say sexual harassment, Me Too, all of that, all the summations that we've come up with from, the sexual revolution on up to like 2016, 2017, when Me Too was a big deal. All of that, we tiptoe around those things. Like for me to say that abortion, rape accounts for like a minuscule amount of the abortions that are performed in the United States, women will lose their minds. I was like, but it's so small a statistic that what we should be focusing on is not this little teeny tiny fraction. Like I don't know what the fraction is, but it's like, it's certainly less. It's 1% or less than 1% of abortions performed are as the result of rape. They are performed electively. By and large, the lion's share, the overwhelming lion's share of abortions that are performed in the United States are done so electively. And that's what a female gynocentric social order does not want Rollo Tomassi to say in a public forum. Because we do, then we start thinking about, well, what's the point? Why is that? Why do women want to have elective abortions? Well, it doesn't matter because I'm male, right? I don't have a choice. I don't have a uterus, so therefore stay out of my uterus, right? You don't have a uterus. Yeah, I don't, but I'm still male, and you need a male and a female to create a child. So therefore I got to say, I have a say in it, especially if I'm paying for it as a taxpayer, but also not even just that, just on principle. As a man, I should have some say in whether or not the child is born or is not. But right now, as it stands, as soon as the sperm leaves your body, you're powerless. And even if it's like cryogenically frozen and your ex-wife wants to get, I've seen the stories, wants to get a hold of that, your frozen sperm, or women now can sue you for wasting their time. Like if you marry, I've seen was it in divorce proceedings? If a woman is childless, and just because you guys didn't have a kid while you were married, part of your divorce settlement can be the potential for having had a kid. So if she froze her eggs, you can be on the hook for fertility clinics. You can be on the hook for that as part of your divorce settlement. Why? Where did that come from? Why? How did that even become a thing? Or if your sperm is frozen and you're divorced, and the sperm was produced, and I hope I get this right. The sperm was produced while you were married and frozen because you went to a fertility clinic. Your ex-wife is entitled to that sperm to fertilize an egg so that she can either have it done in vitro or she can have a surrogate carry the baby to term, and you're the father and you're on the hook. That was a case that was in Arizona. I think it was in 2017. So and granted, I get that that's extraordinarily out there, like it's an outlier, but it still exists. So remember the outliers of yes means yes and no means no on college campuses. That's an outlier. It's only on the campuses. Now we're dealing with it on a national thing. Yeah, you're going to deal with that soon, especially in a gynocentric social order. For women, you are either a draft animal or you are breeding stock, and that's it. Certainly from a gynocratic government system. So let me just get to this. God damn it. Here, hold a second. Frankie says, where do you see the red pill 10 years from now, and will political cultural dynamics influence it? Boy, that's a really broad question, Frankie. That's hard to say. If things keep going the way they are, then I can see men being even more disempowered and more disadvantaged. And I think they'll be the next generation, because remember, in another 10 years, we'll be another generation in. So the Zillennials, or the Generation Z, will be in their 30s, and we'll have a new crop of, I don't know, internet babies come up, internet kids. You talk about lost boys now. You'll be talking about, if things keep going the way they are, you will talk about lost boys in the future. I think people are still trying to figure out what we're going to do intersexually, intergenderly, just dealing intersexual relationships, let's just say. So I think politically and culturally, if women keep going the way they are, like I was saying, the stats that I was just saying a minute ago about, the Nevada state legislature, if that's any indication, then the Dalai Lama will be happy to know that it'll be all the way down to the state level in the United States if we're not careful. So, Christian Matico, yes, your super did come through. I'm just scrolling back through them. Guys, here's the deal. When you give me super chats, if they're on topic, I will, okay, here's your thing. Okay, you got it? There it is, Christian. Do you think there will be a red pill political movement with all the political commentary happening in the red pill community? It seems inevitable. No, I don't, because I am not that optimistic. People are lazy. People are stupid. People would rather do other things than get involved. Like, what was I just saying? I was looking at all of the races that were in the state legislature for the state of Nevada. Again, if only women won, 39 of those 47 seats would be women. So, with I wish, Christian, I want to be optimistic. I know I sound like a cynic all the time. I really do. I get it. I know I do. But I'm looking at things from an objective, a realistic perspective here. So when women get into power, their first priority is to the sisterhood. I was asked if you guys back in January, I did a gosh, seems like 10 years ago now, but it was only a few months, or only like 8 months ago. I did an interview with Andrew Hales on his channel, and I met him in Vegas. We sat down for a long time. And one of the questions Andrew Hales asked me was, he said, would you ever, because I told him about the first female president thing. He said, would you ever vote for a woman, or would you ever vote for a female president or a woman in general? I said, no. And he was shocked. And he's not crazy about progressivism or whatever. He's just sort of, I don't know if he's a fence rider or whatever it is, but it sounded kind of shocking to him that I would say that, no, I would not vote for a woman. And people have said, well, what if it was both a Republican and a Democrat and they were both women? I would abstain, or I would find a third party man to vote for. And people think, well, that makes you a misogynist. No, it makes me a guy who understands female nature. And when I said that, I said that I also tagged this onto that. Of course, everybody focuses on that one quote because they think, oh man, let's get him on Dr. Phil, right? Let's get him on let's run him up the flagpole for saying that he's a misogynist. Hey, we found one over here. There's a misogynist over here. Well, you have to understand the rest of that quote. The rest is this, is that the reason why I won't vote for women is because women do not have the best interests of the collective in mind. That's weird, isn't it? It's weird for me to say that because what I just say, I said, well, they're innately socialist. They're innately communitarian. Yes, for other women. And so whatever serves the feminine imperative, whatever keeps women in power, and when women get into power, the first use of that power that they are afforded is to either change something so that women's existential fears are, sort of set off to one side, or the power that women exercise is never for the benefit of the whole. It is only for the benefit of women. And exactly the same thing with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Exactly. That's why she wanted Hillary Clinton to confirm her successor as the first female president. She politicized her position based on loyalty, allegiance to the sisterhood. That is exactly what she did. And I, if I could make a bigger deal out of it, I would. I don't think people really understand it, or they don't want to understand it. They'd rather freak out in their cars and go, I can't believe she's gone. Oh my gosh, we're going to lose abortion. Right? Well, women are just freaking out over that. I'll show you a few of these things here. But why? Well, who cares, right? You'll be fine. Don't worry. They're not going to flip abortion. They can't. There'd be riots in the street if they ever did something like that. I don't think that is going to ever happen, but that's the fear. That is the depth of the fear. So you have Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's a Supreme Court justice who has made her pretty much her entire character, her career, her life based on really militant feminism, but definitely protecting women's rights to choose, abortion. She's the abortion judge. And I saw guys like Matt Walsh and all these, TradCon conservative pundits who are like, well, she was responsible for the deaths of millions and millions of babies. I guess technically that is true, but she was, she's also the feminist icon. And she was one of the things about, I should also clarify this. One of the things about the judiciary in the United States for the 9 Supreme Court justices is they are supposed to be impartial. Ha 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 ha. Of course. I'll channel my inner Cenk Uygur. Of course. They're not. We know that they're not. We absolutely know that they're not. But they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be arbitrary. They're supposed to be objective in their assessments, and they're supposed to interpret the U.S. Constitution in terms of how the framers of the Constitution would have liked, would have said, okay, this is what they meant. This is, rules as written versus rules in practice, I guess, would be, I'm getting into my wargaming terminology here, but it's rules as written versus rules as practice, that kind of thing. So they're supposed to be impartial, and they're supposed to be non-political. Now, the first time we saw the judiciary get political was, I think it was in George W. Bush. And I think it was during one of the State of the Union addresses where the whole court was supposed to be sitting up front, or they were divided or something like that. You could tell who was on whose side, and they're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to even give the impression that they are. Yet here we have direct deathbed confession confirmation that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was politicizing her position for the sake of the sisterhood. That's what she was doing. And there's no way you can argue against that. There's absolutely no way you can argue against that. The only argument out of that is, well, she should have, because we're in the right. Well, now you're going to make an ideological argument, and you're going to tell me that, well, women should be empowered. So that's from an ideological perspective. Yeah, she's doing what her true allegiance is not to the United States. It is to the sisterhood. That is why I don't vote for women. Exactly why I won't vote for a woman. You want to know why I voted for Trump? Not because I thought he was a great candidate, because he wasn't Hillary Clinton. That's why. I don't have a MAGA hat, right? I don't wear it in a freaking shower like some people I know. But, there it is. So that's why. So it's not a, oh, you're a misogynist. I wouldn't even be doing the show if I'm a misogynist. If I didn't care about women, I wouldn't be. My daughter, I want her to live the best life, right? My wife, I want to support her and love her and have the best, life with my wife that I can. I don't, if I was a misogynist, do you think I would be supporting my mother-in-law downstairs or my mom in the, assisted living facility? No, I love women. And I don't feel like I even need to justify saying that, but people are going to say, well, you're a misogynist because you won't vote for a woman. No, the only reason you think so is because you're too used to what I have termed as the gynocracy. You're too used to the idea that if somebody says that, then that must mean that they are the enemy. Hell, even just me saying I voted for Trump makes me the enemy. So there's nothing I can do about it. So screw you, screw whatever. But again, I'm not a big Trump supporter. I like him better than the other choices that I had. We need better choices. We need more choices, but we're not going to get them. Not now. But anyway, that's a topic for another. That's a screed for another show, actually. But we need better choices. We need something that's a better alternative. I don't know. If there's a new way, I'll be the first in line. What song? All right. What else do you have in here? Christian Matico, I got to you. There you go. Are you happy? You better be happy. Philip Hughes, Rollo, have you heard of the behavioral sink mice experiments? Yes, I have. I am kind of digging into them right now. I know what you're talking about, though. Seems eerily similar to the things we see today, like MGTOW, a lack of purpose. Yeah. And that I'm trying to avoid like making any, like stepping on any, tender, sensitive hearts of MGTOWs right now. But one of the things that I see is not just MGTOWs, but like men in general simply dropping out of presuming they should have any kind of authority. When Trump decided that he was going to promote the idea of, what's her name? Amy Coney Barrett as the next Supreme Court justice. I put this out there. I put this in a tweet and I knew it was going to agitate. I said, unpopular opinion. President Trump should nominate a man for Ruth Bader Ginsburg's position. People, oh my God, he's a misogynist. No, I just said maybe a man would be better in that position. No, it shouldn't matter. No, it does matter. It matters a lot. You know why it matters? Because someone like Ruth Bader Ginsburg will politicize her position for the sisterhood. That's why it matters. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. Well, let's continue a little bit because we need to sort of backtrack just a tiny bit here. So when I say that women are more interested, like the social order of women, gynocentrism, all of that is a direct derivative, I guess, of women's innate sort of proclivity, their affinity for things that are egalitarian, things that are communitarian. When Hillary has said this, it's not really her quote, but I mentioned this before, is that when Hillary talks about it takes a village to raise a child, that's not her quote. I think it's an African quote. I'm not really sure. But what she's saying is that it takes more than just two parents to raise a kid. Well, taken to the extreme, what that means is when you have a child, we need to take it away from you and put it into social education. We've been talking about how academia and public education has become compromised by socialism, by communism, by Marxisms, by confessed Marxists who say we've been trained by Black Lives Matter is run, the officials of Black Lives Matter. Let me see if I can get that up here real quick because I have this. Let me see if I can get this for you. Because they were just on the cover of Time magazine. Okay, that's The Handmaid's Tale. Sorry, guys. Let me scroll down here a little bit more. I know there it is. That's the better one. All right, these are Time magazine, 100 most influential people. The three Black women on the cover of Time magazine who are the leaders of Black Lives Matter. I don't know. I think I might know one of their names, but the one that I do know has said that she is. She was saying something about like how we don't have an ideology. We do have an ideology, or we do have a plan. We are all trained Marxists. Why is Marxism so appealing to women? Why is socialism so appealing to women? Why is communitarianism so appealing to women? Was it Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, congresswoman from New York, right? I forget what her district is. Why? Why is social? She ran on a platform of democratic socialism. We're talking about this. Ilhan Omar wants to abolish the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution, the framework that actually gives her the right, or gives her the privilege anyways, to abort children. Technically, I mean, that's why we have Roe v. Wade. That's why we said it's legal. Because we have a constitution that says that. Take that away, you don't have that anymore. You want to be a Marxist? Great. What's your framework? Well, we're all going to have free abortion. That doesn't work when there's no constitution. That doesn't work when there's no established, framework there. And I'm not going to get I'm not going to get libertarian or anything on you. I'm just saying that when we talk about women in power, when we say when we afford women political or social power, the first thing they use it for is for solving whatever is vexing the feminine imperative, whatever is whatever is a problem for gynocentrism. When women come into power, that's their first focus. Same thing with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We already saw it. So when a woman comes into power, it's usually, we got to figure out how can we change things up? How can we make this country better for women? Not men, not all of us, not for constituents, women. So when I'm talking about male space, I've said this before, is that if you've read I have a post called, I wanted to put these up here too, because these are kind of important as well. This is this coalition that are dressing up like the women in The Handmaid's Tale. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with The Handmaid's Tale. It's on Hulu, I think. I forget what the hell's the name of the cable channel that's got this. Anyways, it's a big deal amongst feminists. And so let me get to, I'll just read it to you really quick. The Handmaid's Tale it was written, actually, it's a book by, what's her name? Margaret Atwood. And she published it back in 1985. And at the time, it was just sort of this dystopian fantasy about this sort of restrictive religious society. And I'll explain it to you here. But remember, in 1985, things were a lot different socially, politically, religiously. And the religious right were a big deal. I know, because when I was there, it was like the PMRC, Parents Music Resource Center, right? Tipper Gore, which was Al Gore's wife, was like part of the. I think that was Tip. I hope I'm right on that, but I think it was Al Gore's wife, Tipper Gore, was the spearhead of the Parents Music Resource Center, and it was all this kind of conservative. Restriction on heavy metal at the time, mostly heavy metal, and gangster rap and stuff at the time. But things were a lot different back then. But we've sort of updated it for now, because now The Handmaid's Tale works so much better in 2017, 2018, 2019. So let me I'll read the quick summation of the plot summary here. After a staged attack, this is the show, The Handmaid's Tale. After a staged attack that killed the president of the United States and most of the Congress, a radical political group called the Sons of Jacob used a quasi-Christian ideology to launch a revolution. The United States Constitution was suspended. Sound like what they want. Sounds like what militant feminists and Marxists really want right now. Was suspended. Newspapers were censored. Wow. And what was formerly the United States of America was changed into a military dictatorship known as the Republic of Gilead. So that's the fantasy of this whole thing. It's like it's this dystopian fantasy where women are property, right? So the new regime moved quickly to consolidate its power, overtaking all other religious groups, including traditional Christian denominations. In addition, the regime reorganized society using a peculiar interpretation of the Old Testament ideas and a new militarized hierarchical model of social and religious fanaticism amongst its newly created social classes. Above all, the biggest change is the severe limitation of people's rights, especially those of women who are not allowed to read, write, own property, or handle money. Sound familiar? Most significantly, women are deprived of control over their reproductive functions, the existential fear of women. The story is told in first-person narration by a woman named Ofred. In this era of environmental pollution and radiation, she is one of the few fertile women remaining. Therefore, she is forcibly assigned to produce children for the commanders, the ruling class of men, and is known as the handmaid based on the biblical story of Rachel and her handmaid Bilhah. Bilhah. I hope I'm saying that right. Apart from the handmaids, other women are also classed socially and follow a strict dress code, ranked highest to lowest. The commander's wives in blue, the handmaids in red. Here you have the handmaids. With white veils around their faces, the aunts who train and indoctrinate handmaids in brown, the Marthas, cooks and maids in green. Econo wives, who handle everything in the domestic sphere in stripes, young unmarried girls in white and widows in black. So I'm not going to keep going. That's just the first paragraph of the summary. It's kind of long for a summary. It's kind of long. So, but this is the big deal, right? This is why we're upset about things right now. So gotta kill that off. There we go. Okay. So when women go out and they protest now, they're dressing up as if they are these horribly oppressed, the Hebrews under Egypt, right? To let my people go kind of thing. Here we also have the Ruth Bader Ginsburg connection. That placard right there is, of course, Ruth Bader Ginsburg with her defining little doily that she wears around her neck all the time. Here we also have time for choice. And I wanted you guys to check this one out because now we're also seeing, there's that fist again, but also socialist feminism. I've had a lot of guys tell me that that feminism is basically communism, or it is. This is a great one. How do you like that? So, okay, I guess there's protests of women. What rights they're fighting for, I don't know. But really what this is it's not so much about rights anymore. Hang on. Somebody's calling me. It's not so much about rights anymore. It's about demonstration. It's about socialist feminism is what it's about. It's not about it's certainly not about abortion. It's certainly not about reproductive rights anymore. It is certainly not about any of that stuff. I've asked women this all the time. I said, I'm for women's rights. Okay. What rights in 2020 do women not have? I'll wait. Because women have every right that men do right now. And more, actually, if you think about it, because men still can get conscripted. Men still have, women have rights that men do not have. And women don't like to have that sort of flaunted in their face. One of these days I'll come up with, I'll show you the, what is it? I think it's conscription is one. Selective service was another one. You don't see women like protesting in front of the Washington Monument to be allowed to be drafted into the military. I don't see those protests don't exist. I wanted to put this one up here too as well. This is this is how Amy Coney Barrett's People of Praise inspired The Handmaid's Tale. So this was a story in Newsweek, and I'll read you the story in Newsweek. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit media heavy today. Amy Coney Barrett, a favorite to be President Trump's Supreme Court nominee to replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, is affiliated with a type of Christian religious group that served as inspiration for Margaret Atwood's dystopian novel, The Handmaid's Tale. I don't see how that could be unless this group is very old, because remember, The Handmaid's Tale was published in 1985. Barrett, a devout Catholic, and her husband both belong to the People of Praise group. Current and former members have said, according to the New York Times, their fathers have served as leaders in the group. Okay. The charismatic Christian parachurch organization, which was founded in South Bend, Indiana, in 1971. Okay, so it does have the history. Teaches that men have authority over their wives. Now, what have we talked about? Responsibility and authority. I'll talk about that here in just a moment. Members swear a lifelong oath of loyalty to one another and are expected to donate at least 5% of their earnings to the group. And tithing? I don't know. So members of People of Praise are assigned to personal advisors of the same sex called a head for men and a handmaid for women. until the rise in popularity of Atwood's novel and the television series based on it forced a change in the latter. So now they don't call them, I guess they don't call them handmaids anymore, right? Atwood herself has previously referred to the practices of a charismatic Catholic group motivating her to write The Handmaid's Tale, set in the fictional Gilead, where women's bodies are governed and treated as property for the state, the men in that state, under a theocratic regime. So then this goes on. Of course, this is standard Newsweek feminist pablum, and I could keep going there, but this is why when you see this, and this is why I actually use this imagery in the thumbnail today, is when you see this, it's not just women kind of losing their brains, right? This is socialist feminism. That's what this is. It's not about authority. It's not about religion. It's about socialist feminism. Why? Why is socialism so appealing to women? Why is Ocasio-Cortez a democratic socialist? Well, if we say Democrat and we put socialist, then maybe things will be okay. So a lot of people are going to say this, and I'm already going to cover this. So let's backtrack a little bit, because guys are going to say, well, it's the Marxists, it's capitalism, whatever. Or it's the evil cabal of the evil Jews or something like that. That's stepping in here and doing this kind of. They're the evil, Svengalis, right? They're the Illuminati. Well, again, this is out of the scope of this show, but I will say this is that doesn't work unless women have an affinity for socialism, unless they have an affinity for egalitarianism, unless they have an affinity, a natural proclivity for communitarianism. That's why women go for solidarity. That's why the sisterhood exists. That's why feminists is synonymous with socialism right now. When I've talked about this with who was I talking about? Oh, I think it was this was the Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is how popular she was, right? She's got her own freaking Funko Pop thing. Like this is the level. So when you're looking at stuff like this, and then we can't forget this, right? Okay, not a joke. They gathered to scream at Trump through their vaginas. I just threw that in there. I don't know why. So anyways, let me close out of that and come back to you. Okay, there we go. So I wanted to throw those on there. If you really want to see the videos, I can put them on there as well. We're getting up to that hour and a half mark, but yeah. So, but why? Why is it? Why is it that women are so into socialism? Why is it that communism seems like a good idea? Why is it that we still to this day think that marriage should be a partnership of equals? I just watched. I had somebody threw a tweet at me from the woman who did. I think she was on Grapevine, and she was talking about how marriage and monogamy only benefits men. And I wrote about this. I saw that, and I actually used that as a basis for a post I did. I think it was in 2018. And she's right. She's absolutely right that socially enforced monogamy works in the favor of beta men, and has for a long time. This is not anything new to the red pill. I've been saying this for a long time, and now women don't need that. Now they're questioning, why do we need to get married? They'll marry chandeliers, they'll marry bridges, they'll marry dogs, they'll marry themselves. So they want to get married. I think there's an innate intrinsic need to be paired with another guy, right? Because that's how we evolved. Women are the more vulnerable sex. They need protection, provisioning, and parental investment. Those are the 3 P's of the beta buck side of hypergamy. Those are innate to women. And to facilitate those, they need community. They need something. They need some support. And then right now, particularly now, when men are opting out of all of this, and you can say it's MGTOW or it's just the Lost Boys or whatever, it's purposeless guys, more and more they're looking for political power to ensure that long-term security that they either are not looking for in men, or don't believe they could find in men, or men are abusers, or men are ridiculous. Toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is a few things. Okay. Toxic masculinity is, and this is according to the gynocentric social order. I know what you're going to say. Well, no, real masculinity is that. Hold, please. So in the last 50 years, masculinity has become ridiculous. It is, what is it? Homer Simpson. It is Everybody Loves Raymond. It's Dr. Huxtable. It's no longer father knows best. Father knows best. That father has authority. And since like the late 70s, father has not had authority and will continue to not have authority for a long time because father is ridiculous. Father is a goof and a buffoon, and father needs to be saved from himself. And Marge Simpson, right? The mother is there to save the doofus husband from himself. Oh, he's a lovable goof. Well, save him from, he was going to sell the baby for what, beer in a nudie magazine, right? That's from The Simpsons. So there's the lovable doof, the goofus, the dad bod, that's the ridiculous male. And then there is the borderline abusive evil male, or the father who has abandoned us. The masculinity is bad father figure. The masculinity is toxic man. He's toxic, right? Technically, both of those, the doofus guy and the evil, borderline abuser guy, they're both toxic. They're just toxic in different ways, at least to themselves. At least, and this is according to the popular narrative. I'm not saying this is. I'm defining this for the narrative. I feel like I have to do that because guys go, "What is he really saying? This?" No. I'm just explaining to you what the popular cultural narrative, pop culture, so the social zeitgeist about men. So there's the evil guy. And then there's the guy who's just sort of this confused, washout, the incel, the beta that nobody wants to be around, the guy that is the loser, the guy who's non-competitive, that no woman wants to bang and no other man wants to be. There's that form of masculinity as well. And then there's the hot guy in the foam cannon party. Wait, hold on. And then there's this guy. And that's the guy that women have on their calendars, and that's the guy that they fantasize about when they're going to get their groove back when they get a divorce. So with that as the basis of masculinity, why would woman want to be monogamous? Why would she want to settle down? Well, from a cognitive perspective, it doesn't make sense. Right? Why? Because it only, if there's someone for everyone, then that means there's a lot of betas that are going to get women who women would probably prefer not to get with those guys. When I talk about the soulmate myth or one-itis or there's somebody for everybody, it's that romantic ideal that there's some perfect soul out there who completes you. You just got to find, from Shakespeare to Ovid to romantic comedies to where we're at right now. I mean, I wouldn't even know. But it's always, you're my soulmate, you complete me. The reason why we still cling to that old idea is because it used to promote monogamy. There used to be some sort of basis for the family that was in socially enforced monogamy. But to have that, you need a social order that is based on having men as the head, having men as having authority. Remove authority from men, and you get where we are today. So when women are upset and just losing their minds because we're handmaidens now. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. When that happens, when you're seeing that, it's because women they don't trust goof. They don't trust Homer Simpson. They don't trust the abusive bastard they want to get with hot guy in the foam cannon party. Yeah. But they want him in measured doses, or they'll want to share him with the other girls, but they really want that security, and they're not going to get security from abuser. They're not going to get the security from Homer, from doofus. They're not going to get it from the ridiculous guy. They provide it for themselves. When they can't provide it for themselves, you'll see just how quick monogamy reestablishes itself, because now they need something. Now if they have something that they can't provide for themselves, that's when women need men. And we've been convincing women that they don't need men for a long time. In fact, we've done so much so that we've disempowered men to the point where women are disgusted with men. And the guys didn't know anything because they thought, hey, we're going to get free sex. It's awesome. It doesn't matter if because what happens is when you insert the idea that, well, sex comes with a responsibility. Sex comes with the responsibility of the possibility that you might knock her up and you might be on the hook for the rest of your life to support this kid because that's a monogamous, socially enforced monogamy. That's what it does. So when you lose that, when that's gone, you get purposeless men. You get rudderless men. You get guys who don't know what they want to do with themselves, and they're powerless to really do anything about it because they live in a gynocentric social order. And it's this sort of self-fulfilling, self-perpetuating disgust that women have for those guys. Oh, yeah, I don't want to get with a powerless guy. I don't want to get with a guy. I want a guy who's my equal. Okay, what does that look like? Well, he makes 58% more than me. He's taller than me. He's broader than me. He's more muscular than me. Maybe he's a little younger than me. I don't know, but maybe he's older than me, right? He's got some wisdom. He's got his own business. He loves his mom. He likes puppy dogs. He goes to church. He's all these things, but he's my equal. That's what you want. That's equality, right? So women live in this idea, this fantasy world of egalitarianism. That is old order thinking. That is blank slate thinking as well. The blank slate that we've been clinging to forever. Everybody's the same. It's all good. There's no innate human nature. There's no innate nature for men or for women. We're all the same. We just have different, junk between our legs. That's all. We're still clinging to that because the ideal, that is the basis of female power. The basis is we're only struggling for equality. Equality for what? You already have more positions of power than men do right now. In most cases, certainly at the base level. So what most women do is they look at power from what's called the apex fallacy. They see the most powerful guy as a man. Like Trump is definitely an example of that. Well, we're still in chain. We're still the handmaids in Gilead. Oh, I can't believe it. Well, until we get Trump out, until I can have my successor named by the first female president, I think I'll just die in office. Literally, I will die on the bench because I have such a dedication to the sisterhood. I will politicize my my ostensibly impartial judge's position because I have that much dedication to the sisterhood, the solidarity of the sisterhood. That's why socialism is appealing. That's why egalitarian, communitarian, women are innately communitarian, innately socialist. They become socialist anyways. They're innately collectivist for sure because there's strength in numbers, there's strength in that nurturement, and that transfers into political power. It transfers into like the American workplace, as I was saying with Aaron Clary. So that socialism, for lack of a better word, let's say collectivism, because I think it sounds better. Because socialism is more like, we know what socialism is, like Venezuela. Okay. But how did that happen? How did they become socialist? Here's what's going to happen. Okay. And I'll head you off the path here. I will get to super chats in just a second. But what women and men are going to say is, well, wasn't Karl Marx a man? Yeah, he was. And he came up with that. He came up with Marxism. But the reason why it took off is because it appealed to female nature. Female psyche is innately communitarian. It sounds good. Everybody gets equal. I don't have I wish I would have had the thing. I don't have the actual study at hand right now, but I've read several studies about this where they will give groups of women and groups of men a certain amount of resources or like money or something. Like you have this amount of money, guys, and you have this amount of money, girls. And this is what you have to do with it. And you distribute it how you want to distribute it. What men will do is it's always performance-based, right? Men have a burden of performance. So when men do whatever the project that they're working on, this is the money they have, they distribute that money based on the performance of the guy that is in that group. So the guy who has the more talent, the guy who does more work, the guy, whatever, it's ostensibly anyways, it's meritocracy. It's a hierarchical, it's competence hierarchy. So if Joe did a better job, you get $5 or you get $10, and Jim, you did a pretty good, you get $5, and Joe, you get $1, you didn't do so good. Yeah. And so that's how they do it. Like it's sort of this competency thing. That's how we really run the American capitalist workplace, kind of the capitalist workplace, right? It's supposed to be a meritocracy. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying it's ideal. In fact, it rarely is ever ideal, but that's the male model for distributing resources. For women, it's okay, you get one and 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 you get one. And it's It's this egalitarian. Now, maybe, somebody who, it's by need, really, but you get some, you get some, you get some. Oh, you have a baby, you get two. You get some. Oh, you get some. Oh, you're caring for an elderly. Okay, you get two, and like that kind of thing. So it's much more egalitarian. It's much more based on the idea of equality of outcome. Whereas for men, it's, well, we would like to have equality of opportunity. For men, it's not equality of outcome. In fact, our innate way of things, because we're men, because we understand that we have a burden of performance. I think on some root level, men have this understanding that they have a burden of performance, and that if they do a good job, if they are talented, if they make the most of their potential, they're going to make more than the next guy down who didn't do that. I've said this before about how today's young men particularly, are not competitive. Guys say, well, how do Rollo, how do I raise my son as a red pill guy? I'm going to give him the rational male, and we're going to read it when he's 12. I said, don't do that. You know what you do? You put him in a competitive sport, put him in a competitive game, put him in something that, I don't care if he's playing chess or he's, learning jujitsu, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Put him in something competitive and nurse that along and encourage that competitiveness, because that is what will help him find a purpose later on in life. Don't tell him here's your participation trophy. There is no participation trophy. There's competition. There's winners and there's losers. And even if you lose, there's still hope in losing. There's still hope in that. You can still bounce back from that and become better the next time you do it. We're not teaching men that, because we don't think that we have the authority to even put that into our kids right now. Because it's one for you and one for you and one for you, and here's your trophy and here's your trophy and here's your trophy. You did such a good job. There's no, everybody's a winner. That is gynocentrism. Everything is equal. Everything is one. And that is also social. That is the basis, fundamental basis, at least, like, again, ideally, fundamental basis of socialism is one for you and one for you. And there's no personal property. And you guys know it. I'm not a social scholar. I'm not a political, I don't have a political science degree, but from an innate way of thinking about things, men tend to think more like capitalists. Women tend to think more like socialists. Women are more communitarian. Men tend to be more merit-based, tend to be more meritorious. I guess maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Competition, competency, dominance hierarchy. And you know why they are that way? Because women make them that way. Because if I shine and I do more and I can provide the 3 Ps, provisioning, protection, and parental investment, that puts me at a greater advantage. Well, unless we're in a gynocracy and women don't need that anymore. Maybe they just need the hot guy in the foam cannon party. So you know what? Guys will compete at that too. It doesn't matter what the context is. Men will compete. I want to be the best Fortnite player, right? I want to be the best whatever. Doesn't matter. It's always like there's always some sense of competition. Now, some men, when you can encourage that more, they become more competitive. They become, like you say, winners and losers. But when it comes to, like, say, if somebody says to you, well, the best way to get a woman is to be nice to her and carry your books home and all this blue pill stuff, right? If you go and you teach a kid that, you teach a boy that, they will get competitive and how blue pill they can be. Like, male feminists will try to outdo other male feminists so that women will want to bang them and women will want to reproduce with them. So whatever the context is, there's always going to be that dominance hierarchy thinking, and there's always going to be that communitarian, collectivist thinking when it comes to women. Those are the natural proclivities in men, because that's just simply the way men and women, and that's because that's the way we evolved. That's how we, it's the tribal thing. You take women from one tribe, put them into the other tribe. Well, they either die or they get along. And the best way to get along, one for you, one for you, one for you. You got a baby, 2 for you. That's where that comes from. That's why they're innately drawn to things that look like equality. That's why feminism has always, the cover story for feminism has always been about equality. Even if they achieved absolute parity, it still won't be enough, because it's not really about equality. It's about power. And this always has been since 1849 in Seneca Falls. So, like, from the time 1849 to 1920. So almost about 70 years or so right there. 71, I guess. until women got the right to vote in 1920. It was about, oh, equality, this and da da da. And we're, now we want to say, and okay, great, we're giving you authority, but gradually we have shifted from the idea that men should have authority over women. That men should, like, I'm going to like credit Turd Flinging Monkey for this, but it's when it comes to patriarchy, the old school patriarchy, in an ideal patriarchy anyways, I'm not saying it's always ideal, but in an ideal patriarchy is balanced. Men have responsibilities to women and to children, protection, provisioning, and parental investment. But that came with authority. And that, when I was reading that thing about the Handmaid's Tale, that's what, it's the most grievous sin to the sisterhood. God forbid that men would ever have authority over a woman. Never do anything for the express pleasure of a woman, but never allow a man to have any kind of authority over a woman. Because if he does, that's abuse. Remember, that's one of the evil archetypes. That's one of the evil toxic masculine archetypes. We can't have that. We don't want a doofus, but we can't have we can't have the potential for abuse either. And if he has authority over us, well, that might mean that he also has authority over our reproductive systems. In 1965, when we came up with hormonal birth control for women, we essentially abdicated our authority over women right then and there. And we thought it was a great idea, right? But the baby boom, that's why the Summer of Love happened in 1968, right? I was born in 1968. That's when the free love movement, and there's been other free love movements, by the way, but that was the one we remember, which is the free love movement. So it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter what you look like. Just hang out, man. Tune in and turn on, or whatever the Grateful Dead thing was. Keep on trucking. That's all about just what's on the inside, brother. No, it's not. The same dynamics. Just because you decided that, it's going to be about what's on the inside instead of what's on the outside, it doesn't change your evolution. T-Rex wants to hunt. What does that mean? Why is Rollo saying that? Well, T-Rex wants to hunt is a line from Jurassic Park. Remember when? And I'll get to this. I will get to supers right after this. Do you remember in Jurassic Park when Dr. what's his name? I forget the guy's name. The male doctor, not the female, and not Laura Dern, the other one. They're touring the park and it's raining, of course, at night. Why they're there, I don't know. But they're trying to, they put a goat out for the T-Rex to eat. They're feeding the T-Rex, right? And then, of course, what Dr. what's his name says is, the T-Rex doesn't want to be fed. T-Rex wants to hunt. You can't repress 65 million years of gut instinct. And whenever I hear things like, oh man, we're evolved above that, brother. It's all freedom and love, man. Is that freedom rock? Turn it up. We don't think in the back of our head because we still believe in the blank slate. We think that we're these luminous beings that are rise above our condition. No. I mean, we can, but we're still people. We're still raw, this stuff. We're still this, right? We're still this. And it influences, and there's nothing wrong with that. Damn it. You can be, you be the beast and be the enlightened one too. I don't care, whatever you want to call it. But it's not one or the other. You're connected, body, spirit, soul, whatever you want to call it. Like your way of thinking versus the way of your influence as, an evolved critter running around on planet Earth that breathes air, is subject to gravity, blah, blah, blah. So T-Rex wants to hunt. Men want to bang. Men want, women want to bang. Women's reproductive imperatives didn't change because of the free love movement. That's why we have that's why let's live in a commune. That sounds like a good idea. Women love that, of course. We're all equal, sure. Lift me up. Okay. Lift me up and keep lifting me up and always keep lifting me up, because right now, I think we've sort of lost sight with respect to like militant feminism. We've lost sight because we have things like the Handmaid's Tale that are these fantasies of oppression, these fantasies of of like I said, living like the Jews under Pharaoh's Egypt, right? Like, let my people go. Like that's like women have been that way from like way back. That's all that's we've ever known is just this bondage and slavery. They've all done is raped us and put babies in us that we didn't want to have. It's been terrible. They never took care of us. The reason you're here, the reason your babies are here, the reason you're here is because somebody along the line probably gave a rat's ass about your mom or your grandma or your great grandma. Oh, we couldn't own property. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because men had authority and women wanted it that way. They wanted a guy that had authority because it's certainty and security in a chaotic world. And it was been that way since we were living on the sub-Saharan African plains in the Paleolithic era. So yeah, there it is. T-Rex doesn't want to be fed. He wants to hunt. What is it? What's the guy's name? Dr. What was his name? Oh, Dr. Alan Grant. That's who it was. Thank you, Sam Bot. I knew I could rely on you. All right, I'll go back. Hold on a second. I'm done with that part anyways. You guys are probably going to come up to something that I was going to get to. Anyways, Frankie, thank you for I already got to you. ML gave me five British dollars. Hello, I would offer a real puppy with every abortion. Now, abortion, by the way, when it comes to abortion, remember, abortion is a fail-safe. Because remember like I told you about before, the women's, like the female existential fear is to be impregnated by a guy who she thought was alpha or took over her sexual selection, like by rape or by subterfuge, right? By deception, and impregnated her because it's a fear. Because back in our ancestral past, if a woman mated with the wrong guy and he took off and he didn't want to have it, that could be a death sentence because childbirth was, you want to know another reason why women have those social networks is because childbirth was dangerous. It could kill you. And it's much better if you have midwives who know what the hell they're doing. Or whatever stands in for midwives, right? Whatever you need, your sisters, the sisterhood needs to be around. All women are we're the life givers. It's the goddess worship, right? We're all the life givers. So come on, girl. I know you're from a foreign tribe, but and our men folk killed off your husband and your sons. That's okay. Come on in here. He's going to bang you and you're going to have his babies anyways. And it's kind of screwed, but we have solidarity. We're all women. It's team woman. When we talk about team woman, that's what I mean. So the existential fear of women is to have that sexual selection that taken away from them in some way. I think that have I talked about this before? The cardinal rule of sexual strategies. The cardinal rule of sexual strategies is that for one sex's sexual strategy to be fulfilled, the other must be either abandoned or compromised. Now, usually it's been compromise. When we have socially enforced monogamy, it's been a compromise. So the compromise was is that you give me sexual access as your husband and I will give you security. I will give you provisioning, protection, and parental investment. That's the compromise. In 2020, well, actually, since the sexual revolution, it's been men, abandon it. Don't even think about paternity. That's why there's a war on paternity right now. You want to know why single mothers think they're entitled to beta males marrying them and taking care of the children? That basically they're signing up for their own cuckoldry. And why are they rewarded for that? Because we need a society of men who think it's their masculine duty to do that. You don't get, as a beta male, you don't get sexual access to her unless you pretend to give up your own paternity. Maybe she gives you sexual access, but you don't get that unless you line up with the idea that your paternity, your evolved drive for paternity, is meaningless. The alphas, that's all about paternity. Alpha men will, people ask me that, they say, well, do alpha men mate guard? Depends on how invested they are in the girl. They can, certainly. But mate guarding is usually reserved mostly for beta guys because they're worried that their woman is going to go out on them and breed with someone else and they're going to be cuckolded. That's why men get jealous. That's why men get angry. That's why men get suspicious. I need to check her phone, Rollo. I think she's cheating on me. That right there, the drive, the want for that, the peripheral awareness that your wife is, or your girlfriend or wife, or whatever, is acting she's acting strangely. She said she wanted to go on a girls' night out to Vegas. Why would she say that? That's me, Gardy. That's you going. That's you getting jealous. That's you getting pissed off. Like Will Smith. We looked at him and go, God damn, man, that guy is cucked. How did he get cucked? He got cucked because because he's been told that it's not important. Paternity's not important. It's okay, but poly, man, it's an alternative relationship strategy. It's all about love. Right? It's all what's on the inside, man. But yet he's still pissed off. I'm going to get you back, girl. That's what he said. You know where that comes from? Jealousy. That comes from confirmation of his investment in that woman being betrayed. Here's a good quote for you. There are no small betrayals. Betrayal is always a big deal, particularly for men, but there's no such thing as a small betrayal. Betrayal is always a big deal. So when she says, "Oh, I banged this rapper who's like could be my son," oh, it's all right, that's okay, it's cool. When on planet Earth has it been okay for a guy not to get pissed off and just get kill the guy? Usually, back in the day, that meant okay, he's dead, and you're probably dead too. But I'm gonna go. Yeah, he should know him better because he's a man. He faced me in single combat, whatever. Oh, you would be dead for that. Then you want to know why tribes would go in and kill another, wipe out another tribe. That's sort of jealousy. Certainly a strong motivator. Let's incentive. Yeah. So we get jealousy because first of all, we're competitive, but we're also, for men's existential fear is being cuckolded, is investing their reproductive effort in a woman who will say it's your baby and it's not your baby. Retroactive or proactively, like retroactive cuckoldry is when a woman is a single mother and she expects you as the guy to give up your paternity concerns to fulfill her sexual strategy. Like I said before, abandon your sexual strategy and adopt mine. I already bred with these. I have 3 kids from 2 fathers. I want you to be the man with benefits because that's what a real man does. And now you have some purpose, right? A real man takes care of other men's children. Yeah. And when you believe that, when you've been programmed and the software in your brain changes and your software is supposed to override your firmware is jealousy. Some guys have a bigger problem with that than other guys. So yeah, but again, those kinds of, and so how do we force men to do that? Well, child support, abortion. Like I'll abort your kid, but I'll keep his, or I'll have that kid and I'll try to trick you into thinking that it's your kid. Oh wait, the doctors will rat me out. That's okay. Let's put a gag order on the doctor so they can't tell you that it's not really your kid. That's exactly what we do today, courtesy of women just like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Courtesy of women who are legislating for that because they will only legislate in women's interests. You want to know why? And we'll say it's because it's the child's interests, right? The child's interests are always synonymous with the woman's interests. That's why women get a custody, 86, 87% of the time. And men are stuck, paying the bill. You want to even things out? And I said this, I told this to the guy who is the interviewer for Dr. Phil. I said, if you want to balance things you want gender equality, then make it optional for men to invest in a child that's theirs or is not theirs. So if a woman has the power of life or death, if she says, get out of my, you don't have a say, you're powerless, you don't have a say, man, you don't have a uterus. Okay. Then we say this. Well, then I don't want to be financially responsible for that kid. People say, "Oh, that's messed up, Rollo. I can't believe you'd say something like that. Man should be." Yeah, you're right. He should. From a ethical perspective, and from I think, at least from a genetic perspective, a guy should want to be invested in the kid that he's created. But I think he should have the option of not, because if women have the power of life or death, then a man should have the power of investment or non-investment in that kid. So if he doesn't want to have it, then fine. You want to curb abortion. You want to put women. You want to find some way to sort of slow the moral degeneracy of women, because I keep hearing that term all the time. You want to slow you want women to be more invested in like sort of the personal meaningful sex, right? You want women to have a new respect for sex. Let's just say respect for sex. Then you empower men by saying, you know what, if we bang and you get pregnant, I'm by law, I'm not on the hook. I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it because I believe in God, or I believe in taking care of my own kids because I have some ethical or moral obligation. That's fine. But legally, legislatively, the state says, no, you don't have to pay for that kid. Women will think twice about having sex with you. They will go back, at least in some part, will go back to being a little bit more judicious when it comes to selecting, because they have power, 100% power of selection. Unless they're being raped, they have 100% power of selection over who it is that they've decided to spread their legs for, get after it with. It's not just about enjoying yourself. I'm happy to say, hey man, spin more plates, bang women. That's great. It's not about validation. It's not about like, you're a better guy because you have 40 or you have 20 or you have 100, whatever. It's about, that's what we like to do. We like to have sex. Well, that's why, what pornography is a big deal. You want to close off pornography? Great. Tell you what, we'll close off pornography and you make it so that men aren't responsible for the children that they create legally. They can do it themselves. They have the option. It's optional. I think that's better. You will see overnight women's sexual practices and their understanding of sex will change. But we won't do that. That will never happen in a gynocentric social order. We would have to reassert ourselves. We will have to get more. We will have to reassume authority. And I was been reminded of this recently, is that for men to assume authority, it has to be taken. I'm sorry. It has to be taken. Women are not going to hand you authority unless like a meteor strikes. And as soon as everything gets back to normal, then you don't have authority again. You get authority just so long as it's responsibility. So when like the was it the Handmaid's Tale? Like, oh, I can't believe they would think that they would have authority over us. That didn't used to be like a world shaking concept, because men had responsibility that went with that authority. Sorry, I'll come back here. Let's see. Al says, do you think there is causation between abortions and skyrocketing depression rates in women? I don't see a lot of men on head meds. Well, okay. Yes and no. I'll tell you why. I think more women are on SSRIs right now. Primarily because they can't get what they want or what they believe they're entitled to. So I think right now, one of the pushes in at least mainstream Western societies that's being exported, by the way, to the rest of the world right now is, people want to say, well, you have an abortion, you're going to get depressed. I wish that was true. I wish there were some more repercussions to that. But since I'd say really the early to mid 90s, there's been a narrative push to convince women that they shouldn't feel bad about it and that it's something to celebrate. They have t-shirts now. Like, oh, I had 10 abortions. Yay, me. Or that girl, I can't remember her name, the actress who had got the Emmy or the Oscar or something. She was on the stage with the gold idol, right? The golden Oscar or the Emmy or whatever. And she says, if it wasn't for, I think she even mentioned Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm not sure, but she said, if it wasn't for like legal and safe abortions, I would not be here with this gold medal. You'd be home with the baby, right? Your life would have changed because you would have become a mother, and the responsibilities of that would have prevented you from becoming the actress to get that Emmy. Great. So essentially what you're proving is a manosphere concept called kill to party. You kill the child so you can continue partying. You kill the child. That's what the Casey Anthony, that's where I got it from, was I think somebody mentioned it's kill to party, Casey Anthony. Kill your kid so that you can go party with your friends. That seems like that's really messed up, Rollo. How can women do that? There must be really evil. There must be something really wrong with them. No, we've just simply afforded them the ability to do that if they want to do that. That's the fail safe. Well, I'm 22, 23 years old. I'm pregnant. And the guy I'm with doesn't have many prospects. He was fun in bed. It was good. I slipped up, and he's not the guy for me. There's nothing that says he's the wrong guy like the unilateral control of life or death over his kid in utero. So you're genetically, like if you're a guy, and I'm not saying this happens all the time, but if you're a guy, this is technically true. If you're a guy and a woman wants to abort your child and you don't want her to abort the child and you want her to have the kid, the kid's dead. Doesn't care. It's her body, her choice, right? Nothing you can do about it. Flush it down the drain, whatever they do with them. Gone. Your wishes you are 100% powerless if you in that situation. And I know that kind of sounds, I know it really smacks you in the face, but it's true. And if a woman wants you out of the kid's life and you have no investment, you're powerless. You can't do anything about it. So yeah, you're going to have depression rates. You're going to have, women who can't get what they want. Now you've either got a woman who kills the baby and goes on to, kill the party, goes on to find the guy. Well, he's the wrong guy. I'm going to flush the baby. I'm going to see if I can find the right guy because I've got all the time in the world. I'm a woman of the world. I make my own damn money. No man has authority over me. And then you see these women who are like 33, 35, whatever. And they're, don't have any, there was ice cream and cats and wine and whatever. That stereotypical spinster, which, exists, but, women are confronted a little bit differently, I think, than men do. You want to know who's going to be depressed if she doesn't find somebody quick is Tomi Lahren. She's pissed off now, but that pissed offness, that anger will turn into depression once she realizes that she can't get what she wants, because what she wants is either impossible or it's a pipe dream. It's too idealistic especially for somebody who is as outspoken as she is. I deserve the best. No, you don't. You don't deserve jack shit. It was Clint Eastwood deserves got nothing to do with it. And doesn't. You don't have anything. You don't deserve anything. But women believe that they do because they live in a gynocentric social order that says one for you, one for you, one for you. Okay. Well, what's that one? The guy who makes 58% more. He's taller than me, stronger than me, older than me, better educated than me, but he's my equal. And if he's my equal, then I deserve somebody better than that, right? It's basic bonehead logic. If he's my equal, then don't I deserve a guy who makes 70% more than him and is 7 feet tall, has a 8-pack abs? Okay. Secret Service says if Trump nominates a female Supreme Court, men will still lose even if she's conservative. Glad you said that, because again, it doesn't matter if it's conservative. It doesn't matter if she's leftist. Doesn't matter if she's rightist. I don't care if she's even in the Handmaidens Catholic organization. Eventually, she's still part of the sisterhood. You want to know why people say, well, how come you don't like Christina Hoff Sommers or Janice Fiamengo or what is her, Karen Strawn? They're on our side. They're on Team Man. No, they're not. They're part of the sisterhood. They're using the men's rights movement as a springboard for their brand of me, for their personal brand of me. Now, whether they're invested in it or not, I don't know. I can't really speak for each and every one of them, but I do know this, that just because they are allies of the men's rights movement, it doesn't change their biology. T-Rex still wants to hunt. Just like guys want to hunt, women want to belong to the sisterhood. And you will see how quickly they will default back to that support structure and that support framework when shit doesn't go their way. Let's see. Christian Matico, I think I got to you already, didn't I? Yeah, it feels like the red pill's becoming involved. Conservative movement. People said that. Oh, don't you think that the conservative movement is more red pill than for now? It is in this particular, well, at least in the United States. I don't know about your country or wherever you're at, but in this particular country, the context is that, but see, I don't want to say that, because then you look at somebody like Tomi Lahren who says, I'm not a feminist, but you're a feminist. You speak like you walk like a feminist, you talk like a feminist, you act like a feminist, you're a feminist. One of the points that I really kind of disagreed with Milo Yiannopoulos back in the day. Milo used to have his little stage show all the time where he would talk about like, well, only 12% of women identify as feminists, so it's not very popular. I'm like, that makes no difference whatsoever. Identifying as a feminist in 2020 is meaningless. You're a feminist. You're like, Tommy Lahren thinks a feminist looks like Lena Dunham with purple hair and armpit hair and whatever, a big furry bush. I don't know. God damn it. Now that's going to be you guys are going to make that a meme, aren't you? But that's what Tommy Lahren thinks a feminist is. That's what most traditional, tricon women think. Oh, I'm not a feminist. I don't look like that. I don't have fuchsia hair. Yeah, but you still believe in the 19th Amendment. You still, if it comes down to brass tacks, you're going to side with the. If it comes down to supporting the greater whole of society, or if it's a specifically male issue that you're required to vote on that would in any way disadvantage or challenge the sisterhood, you'll vote with the sisterhood because that's your innate proclivity. That's your mental firmware. Yeah, well, it will be even. Oh, wait. Oh, gosh. I almost forgot. I almost forgot. Okay, I have to throw this one out there. I got to put this up before I will get to the rest of these. I promise you, I will get to the rest of these. But Dave Rubin put this on, and if you guys really want to see those videos of that's not it. It's hold on a second. It is this one. It's a Chrome tab. There we go. It is the Dave Rubin one. Oh boy. Okay, so this right here. This is her name is Kimberly Classic, I think is what her name is. Black woman. She is running for some Republican, running for I want to say like a constituent mayor, maybe. I don't know what but it's in Baltimore, and she wants to clean up Baltimore. And this is like, she had a very long ad. She had like almost a 3-minute ad. And of course, this impresses somebody like Dave Rubin. I get it. Okay. But at the end of this is the end of the ad. Look at the end of this ad right here.
Have shared the struggle of Black people in Baltimore. You lifted our voices. You cared about our Black lives more than our own Democrat leaders. They have done nothing for us. Now they can't hide. It's time for change. We are that change.
I'm Kim Klacik, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about Black lives.
Okay. Are you guys getting the Handmaidens vibe from this whole thing right here where everybody's dressed in red? Because I sure am. When I saw this ad, and of course it's very multicultural. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with multicultural. Like a lot of people have, especially in the manosphere, like in the more, I don't know, more militant radical side of the manosphere, like people say, oh, multicultural, this and that. I've never been that guy, so I'm not going to be that guy right now. But when it comes to the sisterhood, when it comes to promoting the solidarity, the sisterhood, this is what I mean right here. This is really, I'll play the rest of this here.
All Black lives matter. Our community.
Okay, so you've got the Black woman in the white in the front there. Okay, you've got the Indian, the Muslim. You've got a white girl with a baby. Only women are in this ad. Does this look like this? This is a conservative. This is a woman who is running as a Republican. This is a woman who is running as a conservative who's going to clean up the town and take care of business. And she's rallying nothing but women in this ad who are all dressed if all they're lacking is that little white hood from that, maybe that'd have been too much, right? That little white, of course, we've got her with the splash of white in there anyways. I don't know who was the director or the producer of this ad, but I would be very surprised if it wasn't even if it was a conservative. I would be very surprised if it wasn't a woman who was in some way a feminist or identified with a lot of feminist ideology. And that's why again, having them all wear red. Now people are going to say, well, we're all red. It's Republican. Red is Republican. Yeah, but they're all women. And they all look very close to that Handmaid's Tale kind of thing. And it's nothing but little girls. It's nothing but, multicultural women in red. There is no man in this ad whatsoever. So you want to tell me again how I'm kind of the jerk for not wanting to vote for women? Does that look like, oh, well, it looks, hey, look at this girl. Look at this girl, guys. Hey, come over here, fellas. What do you think? What do you think about let's vote for her? Well, from the visuals of the ad, it looks like she's only really cares about her female constituency. And again, it's I'll have to reiterate this is remember what I said about the tribalism part of things. When in our ancestral past, when the menfolk went and wiped out another tribe and they brought in foreign women into their own tribe, that tribe had solidarity because they were all on Team Woman. They all were the Sisterhood Über Alles. That ad is a perfect example. And they don't even really, I don't think most women realize. They think, well, it's just the right thing to do. Well, okay, but why do you think that it's the right thing to do? Why do you think? I'm not about like, tribal identity kind of stuff. It's like I understand men are going to be tribal, women are going to be tribal as well. But for women, the tribe is always the sisterhood. There's one big tribe, one global tribe, and that is the gynocentric social order. That is the Gynocracy. That is the feminine imperative. And so I made this point before is that the sisterhood transcends. It goes above nationality. It goes above culture. It goes beyond religion. It goes beyond ideology. And in the sisterhood is all that matters. I think the joke I made, if you put Rachel Maddow and like Tommy Lahren on the same show, they would fight like cats and dogs about politics and ideology and everything. Well, but you start talking about a woman's right to choose, they'll lock arms. Or if Rollo Tomassi comes on that show and starts talking to them about like, women's nature and men's nature or gender differences, they'll lock arms and they'll defend the sisterhood because that is their tribe. The tribe of women, the team of women, that solidarity of women. That's what it's ideally supposed to be. So that's where you get that. So when women are taken in from foreign tribes into their own tribe, the now world gynocentric tribe, it's all about solidarity. It's also all about women. Let's put them in red. Let's put little girls in it. I would say even the baby was probably female. I couldn't tell, but even the little baby was probably female. It's all about the sisterhood. It's not about you. You want to know why men are like cut loose? Why there's lost boys? Because the world is not about you. Not about you anymore. Women want to say, "Oh, we're oppressed." Or like that. That's why I laugh at The Handmaid's Tale, because it presents this fantasy world where women are just in bondage. But that's not where we're at right now. We haven't been there in a long time. We haven't been there, certainly not since the sexual revolution. Or maybe the mid 80s. I don't know. We need more strong, independent women in Hollywood. That's all there is. That's all there is. Every damn character. And every old franchise even. Wow, let's make Luke Skywalker a girl. Good idea. It's not the same. You're meaningless right now. You don't know why guys are adrift. I think that, oh, well, I'm just going to go MGTOW and just shut up and just do my own thing. Well, you're isolated and you're powerless and you're done and you're non-competitive. You're not going to make any freaking change in the world. You're certainly not going to make a change against girls and they're marching down the street in their red dresses. You're not going to do jack shit and you're going to take it. You're going to eat shit is what you're going to do, and eat it and eat it and eat it. And even if you think you're not eating it, you're eating it. You're going to be, let's see, was it directly or indirectly? You will be funding that because they're there running for office and them's the rules. You don't want to have anything to do with it. You don't want to push back because you're non-competitive. Too busy with your dick in your hand. That's what you're doing. You got to learn to be competitive. Please let the next generation of boys become competitive men with each other and with this, who will reestablish masculine authority, because it ain't going to be this generation. It ain't going to, certainly not the millennials. And it's certainly not going to be, sedated Generation Z. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. Hopefully I'm one guy, man. I can kick people I had a daughter. Sorry. I would like to kick guys in the ass too. I'll kick the guys in the ass who want to marry my daughter. I will not allow a guy who is not competitive to be with my daughter whatsoever. Learn that now. You want to marry my daughter, you could defeat me in single combat. Let's see what else. I had to put that in there. Gosh, I almost forgot to put that in there. I mean, it's exactly Handmaid's Tale. And that's a Republican. That's not fuchsia-haired Lena Dunham. Feminist, that's it. Sisterhood, that's it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she's Muslim. It doesn't matter if she's Christian. It doesn't matter if she's Jew. It doesn't matter if she's Krishna. It does not matter whatsoever. Team Woman goes beyond all of that. And it's not like they're making like it's not like they're doing great things. It's just they're there. And you want to say, oh, OnlyFans this and all women that and divorce and this. Do something, man. Freaking get up and do something. Grab some freaking authority. Grab your balls and go and fight it. I think, like I said, I think the first place guys need to go is they need to insist that, opt out of child support. Simple as that. You want to see real quick how women will fight you tooth and nail for that. Abortion is the first thing they go to. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, the girls were just losing their minds because they thought because that is that even just the hint that they might lose some control over reproduction because she's gone. Oh, we don't have anyone on the front. We don't have our superhero Ruth. Killing fetuses for us. We don't have her there anymore. What are we going to do? Oh my gosh. And Trump, this is like the third nominee. I laugh my ass off. So 3 judges appointed by Trump. We are for some rocky waves in October. I can tell you that right now. Christian, thank you for that. There's your very long answer. Rollo, have you heard of the behavioral sync? Okay, I talked about that. Atham gave me a sticker. I like the stickers. Okay, here's the last. I probably didn't get all the way to this one. I apologize. I would have put this on screen had I saw it sooner, but I will get to it now. Jarhead34 gave me a $50 super chat. Thank you very much for that, my friend. My dogs, thank you, because that's where it's going this month. Jarhead34 says, hi, Rollo. One of my wife's former co-workers posted that on Facebook that her husband bought her flowers and one of the hideous candles because she was so distraught about Ginsburg dying. As for abortion, calm down. Women abortion isn't going anywhere. Yeah, agreed. I don't think Ginsburg dying is not going to change anything. You know why? Because even conservative women are still pro-choice, and they're still a part of the Sisterhood Über Alles. They don't. You will never. And people say you can just never say never. I'm saying never see abortion overturned. In fact, women will there was this one girl who was, I just saw the video. She was just upset that I guess in the state of Georgia or somewhere or whatever, they were upset that once you heard a heartbeat in the baby, that you weren't allowed to abort it, or you were supposed to do something, some legislative change because of the heartbeat of the baby. And she was like, I can't believe there's a heartbeat as early as women will become like amateur scientists to rationalize why they should be able to kill their babies, to kill the child, an unborn child. Again, not a moral statement. This is an objective statement. They will. This is. I'm just diagnosing things here. They will learn to be like. They will learn how OBGYN works, right? They will learn how they will get in that. They'll learn. Tell them to learn anything else, and it's like, Cardi B. Let's go listen. Let's start talking about abortion. Oh my God! Well, in the fourth trimester, there's a heartbeat, but it's not. It's still a clump of cells, and it's technically a multi-celled organism at that point, and there's not really a consciousness, and so I don't really feel pain. They know all that like verbatim because that's what's important. The most important thing when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. Oh my God, we're going to lose abortion. That was the first thing out of their mouths. I mean, like hysterics in the cars. Like, oh my God, I'm glad I wasn't driving on the road at the same time that was happening. Ryan Stone, what the hell are you doing in here? Parliamentary democracies, Canada don't directly elect PMs. Does that make it more or less likely that women will leverage that to their fellow broads? Maybe. Once women are in power, you will see that they will broker power, but they will only broker power to women. You want to talk about sexism? Women have said for the longest time that they're, the workplace, government for sure, anything where decisions are decided, right? Yeah, we need to be on the board. Anytime where there's some sort of important decision to be made, it's always equality of outcome and not equality of opportunity. Earn it. Well, when you tell a woman to earn something, you're speaking man speak. You're mansplaining, right? If you say, you know what, you have equality of opportunity. I didn't hire you because you're not the best qualified for that position. You didn't merit it. If you want to play in man's world, then you have to play in dominance hierarchies, ladies. If you want to be in man's world, you have to be in competence hierarchies as well. Remember what I said, how like men will go, okay, you get $5, Jim, and you get $4, Tom, and you get whatever, Ryan, you get $2, because you did this job and that. Guess what? Man world, where we're handing out money based on performance because we as men have burden of performance. Here's your $100 bill. If you want to play in that world, ladies, you have to exit egalitarian world. You have to exit communitarian world. You have to leave that behind. So it's not. What was it? The Brazilian soccer team decided that they were going, hey, we want to get as much money as the guys do. We want the same amount of money as the Brazilian male soccer team. We play, we perform the same thing. Yes. But people don't want to pay you that because you are less profitable than watching the male team perform because they perform at a different level than you do. We play the same game. Doesn't matter. You don't play at the same level. The male team would run you to ground on the soccer pitch or whatever, the soccer field, right? Run you to ground. That doesn't matter. It should be fair, right? So what's the conflict there? What's the conflict between the Brazilian soccer team? And I learned this because I was on Macho Toxico not too long ago. I learned about this. So there's the female soccer team, Brazilian, and the male soccer team. When the female soccer team says, we want to have this, we want gender parity, we want pay, it's time to close the gap. We want that. Okay. Play to that level. Draw that kind of crowd. And then you'll get that. That's performance. You want to play in a male space. You want to play in a male team sport. It's not the sport. It's the performance. It's the dominance. You're in a dominance hierarchy. If you want to get paid, you can get paid even more than they do. If you perform better than they do, if you bring in more people into the stadium to watch you, if you have better marketing, if you have better performance, if you kick ass, you win the championship, you do all that stuff, guess what? You'll probably get more money because you're playing in the same thing. But that's not what women want. They want to say, you know what? We need to bring everything down to our level. Everything should be equal, right? Socialism, communitarianism, egalitarianism. In the WNBA, you know what they did in the beginning of the WNBA? Nobody was showing. It's still funded like by outside sources. It's certainly not funded by fans, even to this day. But when they first started the WNBA, none of the girls could dunk. It was the game below the net, right? That's what you came to go see Michael Jordan and LeBron James, so they could dunk. They played at a level that was just insane, right? That's why they get paid the big bucks. They're thrilling. It's a great sport. It's competitive, dominance hierarchy, competitive, competence. So you got these guys that are doing that. So the WNBA says, well, here's what we can do. They can't dunk, so let's bring the baskets down a few feet so that the girls can dunk. So what does that represent? What does that mean? That means you're changing the game to fit their performance level. You're making it equal. So it fundamentally changes the game. And it's boring. Nobody cares about it because it's not the same game. Because women cannot compete at the same level as men. Not physically, that's for damn sure. We see that now when we have trans cisgender athletes who are biologically male just coming in and just eating the lunch of all the girls that are in the, and that's one of the, even women are like, oh, I can't believe that we do this. No, that's the bed you made, and they're there. They're gonna dominate you because it's bringing men into women's world, the other way around. So if you got the female team and she wants to, they want to get into the male, they want to be treated just like the males. They want to get them. And they said, okay, the Brazilian government or the teams or FIFA or whatever says, okay, we're going to pay you the same amount. That's not going to last very long because they're going to be operating at a deficit. So now it drags the whole game down. Certainly the Brazilian teams down because there's not enough money to go around, or there's not enough money to support those teams. And eventually, who are they going to ditch? The one that makes money or the one that doesn't make money? So you're by insisting on that, you're going to end up being at a disadvantage, ladies, as a soccer player. Oh, that's unfair. Yes. Welcome to man's world. Life's not fair. Life is dominance. There's winners and losers. There's not like one for you, one for you, one for you. That's woman's world. The men's world is meritocracy. It's merit. You did a better job, you get more. Because the guy who gets more gets laid more. The guy who gets more has more women. He's the more powerful guy who has a harem. Hell, it's great, man. I want to breed more. Sure. Okay. I guess I'll be the most dominant soccer player, whatever. The most dominant guy in the tribe, which a soccer team is a tribe, technically. So ladies, when you decide that you want complete gender parity, think about what you're doing. You're entering into male space because you want to break gender barriers. You're not going to do anything. You're not going to do anything of the sort. You're going to drag the entire game down and the sport down because it's not for you. It's for men. Men made it. Men compete in it. These are the rules we made. And if we change them for you, we change the whole fundamental nature of the game. I'll never get that. Women, because that's a foreign thought. Women are made for communitarianism. They have to be. They had to have that mutual support. They're the most vulnerable sex. Still are the most vulnerable sex. And yes, you are the incubators of I don't care whether, that was one of the things I was looking at the Handmaid's Tale stuff. Like, we're not the incubators. Yes, you are. You're not the incubators until you're proud to be having a kid. And now you're the life givers and we should all worship the moon goddess or some crap. Oh, worship me. I give life. But you were just saying you didn't want to be, dominated by a man. You don't want, no, I need security and protection now. Changing the game. What else? Aaron McGrath says the real Roe was Norma McCorvey. So Roe v. Wade, I guess, admitted she came under. Wait a minute. Did I have that here? Oh, I don't. Sorry, my bad. Admitted that she came under the influence of feminists who advised her. I read this. Who advised her to lie that she'd been raped. This is the precedent. Yes, rape is the reason, or again, rape is the existential fear. Women do not want to be raped, and I completely understand because it removes sexual selection. It removes hypergamy. Hypergamy, when a man rapes a woman, hypergamy is not an issue. In fact, that's why men have historically raped women. Women will say, "Oh, it's violation." Yeah, it is. It's a violation of you. It's a violation of the fact that you had at least some control over your reproductive choices. When a man rapes you, those choices are gone. That's how it works. And they're going to do it. It's been the way for a long time. And somebody's going to go and quote me the Neanderthal thing. And yes, I'm aware of that too. God, I can't believe I'm talking about Neanderthals. What else do I have here? Hang on, guys. What is this one? Oh, okay. I'll catch up. But yeah, you're right. That is the precedent. The rape is the existential fear because it represents the total loss of control over a woman's reproductive choice. And as I said before, when a woman is put into a position where she's not making that choice, she is deathly afraid because that used to mean life or death. So when the romantic ideal came around and we stopped thinking of things in terms of marriages as male-centered political arrangements or families coming together to create bigger families, as in, like, say, prearranged marriages in India, it used to be a very good idea. I still think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea for prearranged marriages. If I could do, and I know if Abu Americans watching, I've talked to him about this before. If I could do this, I would definitely prearrange a marriage for my daughter. I don't want her to be with a scumbag. I want the best for her. And I want her to be with a hot guy. And I want to be with a guy that is got his shit together. And I want a guy that has, that could kick my ass if I needed to and can kick other guys' asses. I want a guy who has motivation. He's competitive, his drive, his passion, and she makes a good complement to his life. He has authority over her. And I want to be comfortable with the fact that he would. So if I want the best for her, why would I look for some douchebag? Why would I look for some beta male schmuck? I wouldn't do that. I would not marry my daughter off to certainly 85 to 95% of men today. You would have to be the top 5%. I know every father's going to say that. I don't want the best. But I want the best for her because I also know that when my daughter has a baby with some other guy or marries another guy or whatever, that's going to tie our families together, my family and whoever the guy's family is together. I would like to have a say in that. Hey, you shouldn't. I can't believe you. No, why is that a bad idea? Why is that a bad idea? Why is it a bad idea to want to have two families that are both supportive of their children who are in that marriage? Why is that a bad idea? That's not love. They didn't fall in love. It's a romance. They should be. And I get it. There's no way I'm going to be able to, especially in this day and age, I'm not going to be able to step in and like control my daughter and say, no, you're not married. But there used to be a time, you want to know why? Like, did you ever watch Braveheart? Remember when, what was it? What Mel Gibson's character like would ask for a hand in marriage? Like, it was this romantic gesture. Like, you had to go and ask permission of the girl's father for his daughter's hand in marriage. Nowadays, nobody does that. Nobody cares. Dad's a buffoon, or he's an abuser, or an alcoholic, or whatever. Nobody would even dream of doing that. And women would think it's like a sign of ownership, or even giving the bride away at a wedding. How dare you? The father owns the daughter. Yeah. Been supporting her for a long time. There's a monetary cost tied to this, but there's also a personal, like, it's my kid. That's my only daughter. There's no way in hell I would want to just hand her off to some certainly not most of the guys today that I see. I wouldn't want to do that, but I have the best interest of my daughter in mind. And it's better if in a society of guys who say, okay, you know what? I recognize that. I respect her father. I'm going to ask for her hand in marriage. And then what you're asking is vet me. I was joking. Like I said, he's got to defeat me in single combat. I would probably have to find some way to get competitive with the guy, or hang out with the guy, or find out what he's really about. I wouldn't want to just say, oh, well, this is just somebody that I remember when I decided that I wanted to marry my wife, and we were, I'd asked her already. I wanted to introduce her at the very least to my parents, who are like my dad, who was probably one of the least traditional. My dad was pretty much a confused beta for a long time. He's more like a delta. If you were going to classify my dad, he was kind of like what Vox Day would have called a delta. So to go along to get along and hope that the process works for you. And it never did for my dad. But I wanted to do that. I felt like I had an obligation. I asked, I talked to her dad too. I said, we've decided to get married. Are you cool with that? Yeah. Okay. So, because and it was a good match, you're marrying families. That's something to think about, something to consider. I'm not saying we should go back to prearranged marriages, but I think we should at least have some consideration for it, but not in girl world. That's apparently, let's see. Captain Crunch says, is it based on the decree of 770 Romania? Let me check the great book of everything. I have no clue. God is in the details says you must read Shadow Men by Anthony Napoleon Cernovich and Jack Sobiech. has signed copy but deleted the tweet. Both recommend the book. Read. Okay. I'm not a big fan of Cernovich, but Posobiec, are they talking still? I thought they were like at each other's throats the last time I heard. I thought Posobiec and Cernovich were like, or maybe they are. Maybe that you're just giving me the reference. Okay, I'll look it up. Shadow Men by Anthony Napoleon. Okay, writing it down. Feminists usually ignore. Sorry, this is Aaron McGrath. He says feminists usually ignore candidates' credentials in favor of correct genitals. Yes, that's why Trump is nominating a woman just out of hand. That's exactly why Biden nominated a woman. Said he made this big national. That's the one thing he was very lucid about is, oh, we're gonna have a girl. We're gonna have a great gal. I don't know what she's gonna be. She's gonna be vice president. That was the olive branch to the women of the DNC, the Team Woman, right? The sisterhood. He was making appeals to the sisterhood by saying, "Don't worry, I'll have someone I'll have a representative from the sisterhood in my administration." Actually, her administration, the Harris administration, they've already made this gaffe. Her administration is actually the primary one, and he's already said that, and she's already said that. Yes, so it's always about that. Is Trump just trolling by picking a pro-life female and mother to many? I doubt she is. I doubt he's even thinking about that right now. Was it Sandra Day O'Connor? She was a Reagan appointee. I don't know. I don't know enough about her to really speak knowledgeably on that, Aaron. I will get back to you. Sorry. Dr. Alan Grant. Yes, he was the scientist. Thank you, Sam, for that. In Jurassic Park. I gotta watch that again. That was ahead of its time. That was in 1993 when that came out. Pretty good for that time. Facundo Rosado. Ayastaran, because there's an accent over the A. Greetings from Argentina. Oh, Argentina. Okay, thank you, Argentina, brother. With all due respect, any proof apart from Darwin that women will only put sisterhood instead of both genders? I can show you historically how women form coalitions. We can look at it. See, it's not just Darwin. There's anthropology, there's sociology, there's evo-bio, evo-psych. There's a lot of it. It would be hard for me to pinpoint one thing. And if I gave you one example, somebody would go, wow, that's not true because there's this over here. So you have to look at it in a whole, Facundo. When we're talking about like red pill from intersexual dynamics, you have to put it into perspective of a lot of different subfields like anthropology, sociology, biology, history, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that go along with understanding men and women's nature. In fact, I think that's one of the reasons why the social sciences exist, to understand our own human nature and understand our differences as men and women. Since the age of the Enlightenment, which was, back in France, yeah, right before the, right before the War of Independence, right? I mean, that's where a lot of the Constitution was generated from, was Enlightenment thinkers. And again, I'm probably butchering this, but a lot of that was a popular idea at the time, especially the blank slate. Thomas Locke, right? That was the blank slate. Hope I'm right. I think I'm right. All men are created equal. We have these indelible rights issued to us by our creator. Something I'm paraphrasing. But now, I mean, as late as like the 1970s, we know that men and women are not equal. We're not equal. We have different strengths and we have different weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with it. We're complements to one another. Men, human beings, men, different IQs, different. We're not equal. We're equal to different tasks. The thing about equality is that's why I think that when we talk about equality, we talk about it in terms that the sisterhood would like us to talk about it, because it's always been the cover story. We need more equality. What does that look like? Tell me what that looks like. How, in what way are you not equal? Well, we need more equality of outcome or equality of, and I know this is a cliche now, but equality of outcome or equality of opportunity. Because equality of opportunity, that's definitely from a masculine perspective. Equality of outcome, that's female thinking. One for you, one for you, one for you, one for you. So if we're going to say everybody's equal, you want to know why I have such a problem with Carl Jung. and anima animus. It presumes that we have both part. We have masculine part and a feminine part. And men, though, they would just be more perfected if they would just get in touch with their female side, and they're just too governed by their masculine side. We need to make them, and so we have generation after generation of guys who buy into that. We reprogram ourselves, or we try to anyways. We try to overwrite the firmware with the software. The software says we're all born equal and we're all the same. No, we're not. What's equal? Equal in what way? Women can have babies. If I want to have a baby, that's very unequal. That's very unfair. How sexist of women that I'm excluded from having children. Yeah, well, you're screwed. You're a guy. That's how things work. Well, I'm unequal. I lose. I really want a baby. I want to experience labor. Oh, you can now. Remember the guy, Mr. Mom, and then you're just sort of. Yeah, exactly. Equality is a mirage, because equality, particularly in girl world and sisterhood terms and female thinking, equality happens in a vacuum. The world's not a vacuum. If you're out in the middle of, I was just watching Shark Week. It's a pretty good show. You're out in the middle of, what is it? Is it South Africa or is it the Australian Barrier Reef? You're out there and a great white shark comes up. Oh, so don't eat me, but we're equal, right? Oh, no, you're in the food chain. You're not equal, and he's going to eat you. That's because the world's not fair. Environments are not equal. What's the task? That's why I say, well, we need more. The women will say, we need to have more gender equality. Okay, what does that mean? Tell me what that means. None of them, not one will say the thing, because they're more invested in the struggle, in the Handmaid's Tale. The fantasy of that. In fact, women have gotten to the point where they've become so comfortable, have become so inured by things like, OnlyFans or this overwhelming amount of luxury, but this overwhelming amount of options and equality of opportunity that they don't know what to do with themselves. And so they say, well, we need to fight and struggle for women's rights. What rights do you not have right now? I keep looking at the Twitter feed for UN women. Well, we need to fight because COVID, women are on the front lines of the healthcare industry. Yeah, because they made the choice to be there. We're going to make them more equal. Okay. What do you want to? Yeah, okay, let's train more male nurses, and then we'll be more equal. And they can get COVID just as much as women do. No. They need to get paid as much as their male counterparts. Okay, let's look at the example of the Brazilian soccer team. By the logic of the Brazilian soccer team, I should be able, as Rollo Tomassi, to make my OnlyFans account, show off my naked ass that no one wants to see, and I should expect OnlyFans to pay me $100,000 a month, because that's what the top earner, one of the top earners that I know of, makes on OnlyFans. How is that different? Right? That's what you're supposed to make, right? She's making that much. I demand that OnlyFans pays me $100,000 a month. Well, you're stupid. You don't do nobody wants to pay you $100,000 a month, Rollo Tomassi, for showing off your naked white ass. Yeah, you're damn right. And you probably don't want to see it, and nobody else wants to see it. It seems very unfair, doesn't it? It seems very unequal. Well, you have the same opportunity. You can start an OnlyFans and show off your naked ass if you want to. Why don't you do so? Well, because nobody's going to, I'm not dumb. I mean, come on. Maybe Sterling Cooper can do it, but I'm not Rollo Tomassi. I'll tell you that. I'm getting there, but I'm not as baked golden brown as Sterling is. He must tan. I don't know. So maybe it's an Australian thing. But yeah, I mean, that sounds very unfair, right? I mean, how come I can't make $100,000 a year? Or $100,000 a year would be okay, right? I'd be up. Okay, I'll settle for that. But we've got to work our way up to $100,000 a month. Yeah, of course not. Of course not. I wouldn't even dream of that. It wouldn't even occur to me. But that's what the Brazilian soccer team, the female Brazilian soccer team wants. Again, equality of outcome, quality of opportunity. I have the opportunity. Anybody can make an OnlyFans. I want $100,000 a month. That's unequal. Welcome to planet Earth. No one wants to see my white ass. Barry Kahn said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Simplify. I don't want to pass you up. Hold on. I got you. I can't put you on simply because I always look for your. Definitely look for your super chats now." It says, he says, I would like for you to do a deep dive on the Lost Boys. Oh, Lost Boys generation. Please help boys in fatherless homes from the courts that are run off by the judiciary. All right. So noted. I'll put it in the great big book of everything. Now I can get to you, Barry. Barry. God. Good day, Rollo. Good day. Good day, mate. Is that weird? I'm learning. Was it Australian? I'm learning Australian from my Aussie friend Sterling Cooper. I didn't think I could do that accent. Good day, Rollo. Your 3 books have helped me as part of a larger effort to have a healthy, I'm screwing this up, a healthy relationship with my family, and your webcasts are spot on. Okay. And I drift from Australian into a Scottish accent or a Cockney accent, which is very close. Okay. Who else wants my attention? Let's say, should I finish out this show with an Aussie accent? Sterling Cooper's going to disown me. Well, that's interesting. Oh, Atham, thank you for the other sticker. I got another one from you. Fascist says, really? What a coincidence. Sarah Sandberg and Ruth Ginsburg have similar last names. Oh, I get it. It must be the evil Jews. It's just a coincidence though, right? No, it's not. Whatever. Yeah. So no, it's not. They probably are both of Jewish descent. In fact, I think Ginsburg is definitely Jewish descent because I looked at I got her Wikipedia up here. I could go find out. Yeah. So what? Yeah. Continue. When you've worked in the liquor industry as long as Rollo Tomassi has, there's no way I will ever be anti-Semitic because that's all there is Jews. And I have, especially in doing research for book 4, one of my best, two of my best friends in the liquor industry are Jews. I've been to 2 brisses. What else have I been to? I think I've been we just had Rosh Hashanah not too long ago. Don't hit me with your she's with the 2 parentheses. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Next, your point. It must be the evil cabal. Let's see what else is there. Oh, Zod, I got you. Okay, here you are. This is not an attack. Please explain how you expect MGTOW to fight back against feminism when all is stacked against men. Be competitive. It's all stacked. We're losers. We're just gonna lose. What is it? Oh, what is it? No. God, I wish I had this sound drop. I gotta look for the sound drop. What is it? The Beavis and Butthead. We're never gonna score. I should get that. I'm gonna dig that one up. We're never gonna score. Yeah, it's stacked. What are you gonna do about it? You know what was also stacked? Guys dropping into Guadalcanal. The odds were stacked again. Never tell me the odds, right? What happened to that? How are we going to do it? How can we defeat feminism? I don't know. Why don't let's all get together and come up with some ideas. Why don't we actually think about it, talk about it? I'll do a show about it if you'd like. How can we fight against it, Rollo? Well, we can just, I know what we can do. We can just not ever go outside and never talk to women again. Then we'll never work with women because of Me Too. Or we'll stay over here on our side of the playground and they'll stay on theirs. And yeah. And you know what? They'll be making the decisions. You know what you can do to fight back? Here's a really good idea, Zod. I know. Okay. Not attack. Here's a good idea. Run for office. How about that? How about run for a position where you actually have some kind of authority? We constantly talk about how men have 100% responsibility and 0% authority. How does a guy get authority right now? You have more authority as a single guy than you do as a married guy. You have more authority as a childless man than you do as a father right now. That is like some pathetic ass shit, right? It used to be that guys wanted to be a father. I can't wait to tell my dad. I got two young strapping boys. Father knows best. Yeah, no, not anymore. Well, we look at that as if it's like some sort of like women look back on like the 50s as if it's, oh, chauvinist cavemen. Oh, we want to go back to the Stepford. Well, Stepford Wives is a fantasy, dumb. I'm going to say it. I was going to say the C word, but I won't. I can't even do that, right? Because I don't have any authority to say it. But still, it's like you want authority. What you're lamenting is authority. Well, how do you get it? How do you get political power as a man? You got to run. You got to do something. You got to have a platform. Get out there and do it. Change. Oh, Ola. Oh, wait. Sorry, Zod. I run for office. Do something. Find some way to get into a position of authority while maintaining your own security. There you go. Ola, my favorite guitarist. Tribalism, us and them. Neanderthal predation theory. There it is. Okay, I mentioned it. I got to that before I even got to you. Neanderthal predation theory. That's in the great big book of everything. I'm researching that. Danny Vendramini from not your favorite guitarist. Thank you. Ola England is one of my favorite guitarists. By the way, now that we're at the end of the show, I was going to mention we have a 4-song demo for the band that I'm in right now. I'm not going to tell you the name of it until it comes out, until we have the production and we're ready to go. But I just heard the first mix down of the 4 songs that we've got. We're supposed to have 5, but we'll have 4 for sure right now. And it sounded really, really good. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you would already know this, because on my Patreon live streams, I use my own, I'll use all my own music, but I used the most recent songs that I've been doing as an intro for a couple of those shows. So if you want to actually listen to that, you must become a Patreon subscriber. Wando says, how will the corporate world look like post-female takeover? It's already post. Something like it looks right now. That's what will happen. I saw the podcast with Aaron, but would like your individual take on it. Well, I said this before. It already looks like it right now. It is a kindergarten class with a ball pit and balloons and bagel hour and anything that makes women as comfortable as they possibly can be. The American workplace that I was talking about that with Aaron is sort of a smaller version of what's happening to this country under gynocratic rule. So it's like, okay, women, we're going to give you the United States. What are you going to do with it? Oh, okay. Well, we're going to do abortion, and we're going to do, child support, and we're going to do this. And we're going to do all these things that suit us. And let's have a ball pit, and let's have this, and let's have the Handmaid's Tale, and let's have all the whatever makes the running of the country more convenient, more whatever serves women's imperatives. That's what the country's going to look like. That's what the company is going to look like as well. We see it already. You want to know what it's going to look like? Go watch Josh Fluke's series of videos about the American workplace and how they look like kindergarten classes right now. That's not men doing that. That's women trying to make the 9 hours that they spend in a corporate environment more comfortable. All right. Jake, in Brazil, abortion is illegal and female conservative politicians are pro-life. Does the Overton window explain why the Sisterhood Über Alles still stands, or is there? Yes, it does for right now. I would say that they're like us. Remember, this is a generational thing. So if you go and so that's Brazil. If you go and you look at Argentina, we just had a guy. Argentina is very feminist, very militantly, like rioting in the streets, feminists. So just because it hasn't got to your country just yet doesn't mean it won't. Like I get into this argument. I get into this debate with Muslim men all the time. Well, that would never happen in my country. Sudan just went from being an Islamic state, and I mean that in terms of like governance, from an Islamic state to literally, this is how they describe it, a feminist-run state. There are 4 women are like the parliamentary leaders or something of Sudan, a Muslim country. Just give it time, because the Sisterhood is now in Sudan. The Sisterhood has taken over Sweden, took over it a long time ago. Sisterhood has taken over Germany. Took it over a long time ago. France, when it's not Macron, but the other guy that was there before, I can't remember. So France has been very feminized for a while. You just look at the politicians, you look at the decisions that they make. Even when male politicians are in control, England, Theresa May, she was definitely part of that. People like to throw out Margaret Thatcher, but you're talking about a generational difference here too. So I would say that you have to look at the country itself and see what the decision-making process is about and what's inspiring it. So abortion might be illegal in Brazil right now, but you know what? Abortion was illegal in Ireland right up until 2017, 2018. Give it time. Facundo. In Vedic civilization, ancient India, I know. The father had time to choose his daughter's husbands until her first menstrual period. Then could choose. Had time to choose. Oh, yeah. Okay. Augusta says equality is a mirage. It is. Equality is a lie, not because it's not a admirable idealistic state. It's that it is an idealistic state. That means that it is a fantasy. Equality has to have a definition, and it has to be defined by terms. It has to be defined by environment. It has to be defined by task. So what are we saying is equal, and what is we saying is not equal? 2 + 2 = 4. That's equal. 2 + 2 does not equal 5. That's unequal. It's simple math. We can boil it down to a simple math equation. Guy Pearson. Thank you. Says, curious about how you would think about daughter's husband's education. I see many women with masters married tradesmen. Do you think these are good matches? I think it depends on the guy. Honestly, I think it sort of depends on the character of the guy. I'm not going to say like I would prefer that the guy is, intelligent, or at least have, intelligence is very important. I get it. My daughter, very intelligent. And I'm not just saying that. She graduated magna cum laude. And she probably, when it comes to mathematics, she's way better than me. I never got to trigonometry. She definitely got to trigonometry, calculus, trig. I got up to like algebra 2, and that was enough for an artist like me. It was a little more that I wanted. And that just kind of sucks too, because I really kind of liked. Later on, when I finished my degree in college, I had to take more math, and I actually enjoyed doing it then. But when I was growing up, I was certainly not a math-minded guy. My daughter happens to be. My daughter is very, very intelligent, very pretty, very intelligent, pageant winner, good-looking girl. 22, got going for her postgraduate stuff right now. I won't tell you where, but she's off to a good start. She's going to be very hard pressed to find a guy that is certainly as motivated as she is, as driven as she is, and is smart as she is. But if a guy was a tradesman and he was equally motivated and he had his shit together and he was, had some integrity, a lot of guys, Aaron Clary will say this too, is that, when we talk about useless degrees and like what's time well spent right now, I think one of the things that's in this post-COVID world is people are realizing that college is kind of like an antiquated, it's an anachronism. It's old school. Going to college, it's kind of sucks too, because like, I spent a lot of money putting my daughter through college, but I'm sort of hesitant to say it, because I think that there still needs to be a college experience from a social perspective. But considering what's taught in most major universities today, even community colleges, right? If you want to go learn welding, awesome, man, you can do a lot with that. You can be a tradesman. You can join the Teamsters. Whatever. Trade. There's no shame in that. It's more about like, are you ready? Are you going to be competitive? Are you going to bust your ass? Do you have drive? Do you have passion? Do you have ambition? Do you have a goal for yourself? Do you know what you want to do? Do you have a direction? Do you know what you want to do? Who the hell are you? You ask most guys, you say, who exactly? Explain to me who you are. You know who I am. You've read my books. You've seen, I mean, for the most part. You really want to know who I am? You should watch, and I'm at the end of the show, so I'm going to tell you, you should watch Masculine Geek tonight, because I'm going to be the Dungeon Master playing Dungeons and Dragons tonight. It is my campaign, and it is old school, and I am a tough taskmaster. But that will be tonight at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I've got 6 guys that we are playing with. We've got Vince, we got TJ, we got Rob from Rob Says. Aaron Clary is actually on with us as well. My very good friend Spencer Harding, and who else do we have? Oh, and Drew. Drew Bay. Drew Bay is in as well. And maybe Jack Napier. I don't know. Somebody mentioned he might show up. We'll see. Anyways, that's it for me today. Thank you guys for watching. It has been a 3-hour and 5-minute epic adventure with you. Hopefully this has taught you something about your own nature as well as women's nature. It's not all gloom and doom. I will give you one last. I was asked here just right before we got, and don't give me any more supers. I'm not going to do anymore. I got to go. My dog is looking at me funny from outside the door that's now open. It's the channel, by the way. The channel is Masculine Geek. Go on YouTube and look for the Masculine Geek. Or you can just I think you can just put like masculinegeek.com and you would find it as well. God damn it, guy. Curious about how you would think daughters, husband, education, see many women with. Oh, you already told me. I got to that one already. Thanks. I did get to that one already, Sam. Thank you very much. What's the show link? God damn it. Hang on. You want me to give it to you? I will. Hang on. It is Masculine Geek. I will give it to you right here, just because I'm curious to see what you guys think of all this. And I'll give you the direct line to the actual thing. Oh, here it is. Okay. For being patient with me. I actually have to go prep for this. I got to do this in another couple of hours. So I'm sure some other people are watching. All right. So here it is. There you go. That I just put it in the chat. So that is the, you can get it out of the chat. Just go link it from the chat. So there you go. All right, guys, I will see you guys on Masculine Geek in about 2 hours. So I hope you guys have liked this. Again, it's not all gloom and doom. You just have to be competitive. You just have to decide. You have to change your mind about yourself. You want to know where you begin? You change your mind about yourself. You become your mental point of origin and you reject what this gynocentric sisterhood is foisting upon you politically, socially, everything else. So there you go. Did I not get to that one? I will, Amar, I will get to you in an email. I'm sorry about that. I gotta close though. I will see you guys later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.